Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is everything you've been waiting for, accumulation of the Upsurge Contenders League. My name is Benny Love. I'll be your play-by-play caster tonight. With me is XT as your beautiful color caster, and we're here to bring you the spring 2020 finals for the UCL.
Touch my heart, Benny Love. Super excited to be here. I'm glad I am your beautiful color caster for today. We have some really unique applications to consider here for this game. Given the fact that we are in a new patch and we are in the finals, and these teams only had 1 week to adapt to this new patch, I guess that's a little bit of a disclaimer. And we have plenty of things to talk about with this new patch, but overall, these two teams have story, Benny Love, and these two teams are, I believe, the teams everyone pretty much expected. I would say a majority expected to make it in the finals.
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, you're looking at the bracket again for this entire Contenders League, 32 teams. They were separated into four different divisions. These were the number one seeds coming out of the Mountain and the Infernal division, and everything to be expected. Here we are seeing them in the finals, only dropping one game each throughout their entire playoff run. I think they both have a lot to prove, and both are looking very, very strong coming into this final series. And as you said, we've got a lot to talk about, especially going into the actual meta. But I think we're going to jump right into it. We got a big series ahead of us. We're going to swing right over to the pick and bans, actually, as those have already begun.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been a very interesting ride for both these rosters, and both these rosters are actually having a lot of history here. Recon 5, I think, is a little bit more recognizable if you followed the amateur scene quite a lot. Zadox, Tilted, Loxidosi, Phoenix, and Diomar, they've all been on many different rosters, but this superstar roster has finally come together. I think most notably, their accomplishments in APL are something to really consider. And also their accomplishments in Nightfall and House of Ghouls. And also, especially for his Diomar Zadox, both these guys have also had a lot of experience in UCL. In fact, Zadox has won UCL twice, and he's looking to get a third championship under his belt. While Illinois Academy, you may be more familiar with them if you follow, I believe, the collegiate scene, as these guys are the roster under the main Illinois roster over there at the school. But yeah, should be exciting.
I think, as you said, like a lot of pedigree coming into this finals here. First rounds of bans are completed, as well as the first rounds of drafts. I was had the lucky, the privilege, I guess, of casting last week's semifinal featuring Recon 5 and Honeybee Esports. And that Cassiopeia, which can be flexed in multiple positions between the top and the mid, I kind of expect to see that locked in for the first round with the Ezreal and the Lee Sin. Break down a little bit too, what are we kind of expecting for the ADC pool as we're seeing the Misfortune also being locked in response to the Ezreal on this current patch?
So there are two things to really keep in mind here. That Kali being locked in is due to a lot of changes to how snowballing works, with solo laners before pre-6 now getting 20% more EXP if they get a solo kill, and assisted kills giving about 20% less EXP. So I do expect to see a little bit of a change of a more safer bot lane pick here, which is why I think Israel was to pick up here for Recon 5. Cassiopeia, though, very solid standard mid lane pick here. I wouldn't consider her to be one of the best, but she does fill a role like the Azir. Skills super hard, can snowball very hard, but Kali here is kind of my highlight pick here, as I believe she can just run away with the EXP change. If she has an extremely good lane, she can be flexed to top or mid. We don't know where she's going yet, but we are seeing bans towards some aggressive supports here and there. Pyke can get taken away here, and I do apologize. Actually, I did come into the picks and bans a little bit late here. Well, it was bugged on my end, but we are going to be moving on.
Yep, it looks like that last ban for Recon 5, which did not come through, was the Nocturne, which looks like it's now being hovered by Illinois. Or, well, we'll let it figure out. We got to work through some of the shenanigans. We all understand sometimes. You know, you're under pressure. It is the finals. It is the finals. There is some pressure going on, right, between these two teams. So you never know, things slip up. But for the most part, pretty standard. How do you fare, or how do you think the Kali into the Cassiopeia matchup fares? As we said, we don't know which one is going to be flexed either way. Illinois does have the counter pick, so they do have the option to flex that top or mid. But that's one of the things too that we know about the Cassiopeia, was also flexed multiple times last week in that semifinal series for Recon 5.
All right, both these picks right now can either go top or mid. I think the Cassiopeia versus the Kali matchup favors the Cassiopeia a little bit more. Just being able to bully the weak late game here for Akali. Akali isn't able to perma shove until she's like level 9 at the very least. But Wow, Illinois actually going to be locking into Misfortune and Alice lane. But even before we talk about the solo lanes here, we do have an extremely aggressive bot lane here. And Yuumi being banned quite early means this Ezreal, I think, would be paired up with something a little bit safe. I know Enchanters have been on the rise, especially since the LEC finals. I think Enchanters might be a little bit more preferred since you don't get punished as much now that kills and assists give a lot less EXP in the lane. And I think you want something really safe here. There's the Ezreal Braum. That's going to be the safe bot lane here. I don't expect a lot of action to be happening. Even though Illinois may go for a lot of exchanges, I don't expect this bot lane for Recon 5 to be taken down.
Yeah, and Braum, pretty expected pick into Misfortune. Again, as you said, some of the Enchanter supports can be picked to help defend against all that CC. I like the combination that we see from Illinois early on in this draft. All those melees paired with that Sejuani is going to be a real havoc to deal with later on in this game. And there we go, seeing the set locked in. Also can be flexed between the Akali and mid-top. We can go either way. I think that's my favorite part when we see all these flexible options is when we jump into the actual draft phase, seeing at the last second who's going to swap where. But set, something that I expect to see either banned or picked throughout this entire series still locked in last for Illinois.
All right. I'm very surprised we aren't seeing a Varus this game, but what I don't think is too surprising, and I think some people may have expected it with the EXP changes in 10.8, is that there's no Ornn to be found. He's gone. He's a missing child, actually. And the main reason for it is, once again, the EXP changes at 10.8 encourage solo kills, encouraged getting that lane, that snowballing lane girling, and we have basically 3 laners who are more than happy to get that snowball going. Irelia, Akali, and Set. Cassiopeia is really the one that she would prefer. I think the matchup against Set, if possible, would or actually either one would work. But the Irelia is for Recon 5 is definitely someone I do want to look out for, because Vinny Love, I'm sure you've heard many horror stories in the past of Irelia getting one single kill and just taking over the game after she rushed to Blade of Rune King.
Yeah, the itemization hasn't changed either in this patch, so we're still going to see those very strong bruiser items coming out set. You might even hover and get that Bork first item as well. And yeah, I think you highlighted earlier as well that that XP lead that we're going to see at the beginning, it's about 20% more XP, and that's also for levels 1 through 6. So that really does favor the champions like the Irelia and the Set and the Akali, less so for the Cassiopeia, which will take some more time to scale. So we're going to have to see here between these solo laners, which ones have it, what it takes, have their nerves down pat to come out on top, because that's what I want to see in this first game for series, or for game number 1 in this series. I want to see them coming up sprinting. I want to see them try to find this advantage, because both these teams are facing against each other. This probably is the most difficult matchup they've had throughout the entire league, probably throughout this entire playoffs for sure. So I want to see confidence.
Yeah, something I do want to highlight is that the early game is going to be dictated a lot by the jungler presence, and it's not because of the first blood on the line. It's more or less whoever gets that first blood basically has that lane on lock for the first 9 levels in the game, because once again, level 36, you get 20% more EXP for solo kills. Remember, right, if the jungler comes in for the gank, they're not going to get that 20% bonus, but they are going to be set up to abuse that 20% bonus if they are able to basically shut down the enemy laner. If the enemy laner gets too scared to really do anything because of the early game lead, the item lead that the first gank may generate. So it's really going to be interesting to see on how does Sejuani and Lee Sin work. It's very different from junglers we're used to seeing, like the Gragas, like the Jarvan, or like the Trundle, who are more than happy to, or Trundle was banned per se, but early game junglers definitely are getting a little bit more attention. Sejuani is the only one that I think is the oddball here, but with having 2 melee solo laners, it makes a lot of sense why Sejuani was a little bit preferred here. But very excited nonetheless to see a very high skilled matchup at the top side, but it's at the cost of how bot lane is going to be played now.
And for the most part, I think coming to last week, some of the most consistent gameplay that we saw in the 4-game series in the semifinals for Recon 5 was from Loki-Dosi playing across the board, playing that Varus so consistently. I think that was the biggest part, actually, of the gameplay, is the consistency that we saw from the bot lane. And this time, picking a champion, Ezreal is going to have less of a lane bully presence than you would compared to the Varus, and it's going to take a little bit more time to scale, especially paired with the Cassiopeia. So I think, like you said, we're going to have to see a lot of action on the back of Zadox here on that Lee Sin to really make some things happen here, because you don't really want to be waiting too long to try to close out this game. And it's I like both drafts a lot. I don't think there's too many holes between them, but that's going to be the biggest factor for Recon 5 if they can make it to that late game point. They get that 2-item Ezreal, where they get that 2-item Cassiopeia, and how well they can play front to back, especially against all that CC that Illinois is bringing to the table.
Right, and you also have to keep in mind, like Lee said, is one of Zadox's best champions, right? He's had a lot of extremely good games on that champion so far in the UCL, and very excited to see on how he does on this pick, especially when it's a favorite matchup here against the Sejuani here. He's going to have a lot of presence in the jungle. It's not his Rek'Sai, but it is going to be still a very high pressure early game jungler that will unfortunately fall off. But the name of this game is about snowballing your solar laners, making sure that they have a huge advantage over everyone else in the game, being able to try to abuse those early XP buffs to, once again, make sure they just have an edge over everyone. And it's going to be very interesting to see on how this is the first and last game that's going to be played on 10.8. We have up to 5 games, Benny Love.
5 games. 5 games to adapt, right? You have to see that both these teams have probably practiced some, probably scrimmed some competitive, maybe played in another league or something like that to get some experience on this patch. But correct, I mean, this is the first time, this is the first series that we're going to see. And as I love to say all the time, when you're watching a full series, especially a best of 5, you get to learn the intricacies and the little metas that get developed in those tiny little chambers of games that you see in those closed pockets. And that's what I'm really excited to see. For the most part, though, between these two teams, I imagine a lot of these fights are going to be played front to back. When you're looking at the Misfortunes paired with the Sejuani and the Nautilus. When you're looking at the Ezreal and the Cassiopeia, I think one of the biggest things here, though, that we're going to have to look at is going to be the dive threats on both teams. When you're looking at Illinois with the Akali and Recon 5 with that Aurelia, it's really going to be up to them and their respective responsibilities. How well can they get ahead and how well can they get onto those backlines?
Yeah, but I think the biggest issue we have to highlight is what is Siege and who can perform it better. And there is one clear winner here, and it is definitely going to be Recon 5, right? Illinois has 5 melee champions, and Misfortune being the only ranged champions. Also a very risky wave clear by Akali. I expect Illinois to be playing the 4-1 game, sending Akali to the side, maybe even a 1-3-1 here. They're going to be playing a lot around the Set and Akali split pushing constantly and being able to split up the team fighting prowess of Recon 5. And although Aurelia can match one of the 2 picks, I still do expect Illinois to really find some crafty ways to split up this Recon 5 team and make sure they don't get the team fight that they are, or make sure they don't get the skirmish they're looking for. And also to keep in mind, Illinois also is very, very strong in skirmishes too. The Sejuani, Misfortune, Nautilus, Wombo combo. They have a lot of ways to synergize each other.
Yeah, so much engage, so much CC.
Yeah.
I do not want to be an Ezreal or a Cassiopeia that gets caught in that line. But we got to jump into this series here. We're going to take a short break. But before that, I have to give you guys a little bit of a heads up before we jump too far ahead of ourselves, because this is the last game of this series of this entire spring season. But we got to let you guys know about the upcoming summer season for Upsurge. Don't forget, actually, that signups are still available till May 4th for the Premier League and the Contenders League. 32 teams for each of those, except for the Premier League, which I believe is less than that. That is closer to the 16 teams for the Premier League if you're Grandmasters and up. Stay tuned for those. Just like the UCL, just like the UPL, we're going to come back with a full summer season. You got a lot of prize pools. You got a lot of teams to be competing against. Those applications are still open, so check those out, as well as the applications for the UML and the UJL for the Upsurge Junior League and Minor League. Take a look at those. If you have a chance, if you have a team, you want to take a crack at any of these guys, you should sign up. Make sure you come out to those. And without further ado, though, cannot forget about our actual sponsor for tonight. We're going to send it over to our jersey sponsor before we jump into game 1 between the series of Recon 5 and Illinois Academy in this spring playoffs. Finals.
With a vision.
It's the finals. Oh my God. Can you believe that, XD?
A vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing. Something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Upsurge Contenders League Playoffs Grand Finals between Illinois Academy and Recon 5 Green. Checking out both these teams. On the blue side, we do have Recon 5 Green represented by Diomar, Zadox, Tilted, Loki Dosi, and R5 Phoenix. And on the red side over there, you cannot forget about Illinois Academy representing in the top lane, Quacker, Sushi Killa, Dandito, Huderick, and Wakanari. Between this 5v5 matchup, I like the respect. I like the respect across the board. Doing the 5-point. And going to have a little pause here before we get to all the action.
Both teams actually have a very, very strong early game invade. One Braum Q or one Nautilus Q, and it's pretty much over, and neither team wants to take the risk, so both teams are just going to play a little bit safe here. So I do want to highlight here during our pause is Loki Dosi is actually going to be taking an exhaust, and Phoenix is taking a heal, and this is more common actually these days. So the reason why we're seeing a lot more ADCs take the exhaust is because ADCs, if they are prone to being in a duel, they'll have a way to fight back.
There's so much damage in this game, the damage creep and all that. It's spooky out there for AD carry mains. Loki Dosi taking that exhaust. And as you said, though, heal for Phoenix, which I don't really mind at all, especially for supports. So many supports really build items that already kind of buff that healing. So I think that should be, I'm an AD carry main, and I don't mind my supports taking heal if they have it, and I'm taking aggressive summoner spell. But the thing that's really going to matter is we're not going to see Ignite on their side, which isn't as big of a factor. They don't have crazy amount of healing as much as you're going to have to deal with on the side of Recon 5 when you're looking at the Conquerors on both Tilted and Zadox.
Yeah, and you also have to keep in mind that exhaust exists because, once again, the bot lane meta is going to be shifting once again, and it's going to favor passive gameplay, right? You don't want to be giving over or these kills early, right? You're not the focus anymore, right? Because you're not going to be rewarded as much as a solo laner if they were able to get a solo kill. So being able to basically play it safe and take it slow and just being able to scale up, right? This Ezreal versus Misfortune, I can see it favoring the Ezreal here, but we could be seeing a level 2 engage here by Illinois Academy. They are quite close. Wakanari's positioning for it, but I believe Recon 5 are just going to back out.
Yeah, and as if you're Loki Dosi, you just got to hope and pray that Phoenix steps up to catch that dredge line for you. Especially early on. It's one of those abilities, too, even with Ezreal E, he kind of just pulls you and yanks you back.
Yeah,
you can still kind of get out of it, but it's still... Dredge line is not one of those things that you really like to get hit by.
Right.
Like the Blitzcrank hook and everything like that.
You never want to be on the receiving end of a hook in general for League of Legends. But we do see right now, mid lane, we do have this Aurelia versus Set matchup, and it's actually going to be pretty skill-based. I do believe that Set will have a small advantage because, once again, it's really hard to engage onto Set, as he has a lot of tools that punishes you if you are in melee range. And over on top side, Dicali and Cassiopeia lane, I feel like it's going to favor the Cassiopeia for a good amount of the lane, especially since Quacker will have a little bit of trouble shoving in that top lane here. But we will have to see on who gets assistant first on this first gank. Once again, a lot of this kind of rides on who's able to, get that early kill and be able to start the snowballing, because once again, 10.8 it may not seem like it on paper, but it is going to be a little bit of a drastic change on how everything is played, with all the changes in the jungle, all the changes in the soul lanes and whatnot.
And one thing I'm going to like a lot too between the solo lanes, while I don't think, as you said, the advantage is going to be on the side of Quacker with the weaker push, especially in lane, they do have sustain, especially in the mid lane and the top lane. Don't worry about mana costs, and the passive that you get from Dandito on the Set, it's basically a Garen passive. You're just passively healing up after every trade. It's probably one of the least fun things to deal with. Yeah, other than the Haymaker shield and the there's a lot of things of Set that's really not a lot of fun to deal with. But it's one of those things too that can over time build up an advantage if he doesn't have to recall, if he can continue to sustain up without taking poor trades. And I really want to see, again, watching the jungler's pathing, looking at Day Zadox. He does have a little bit more agency, a little faster clear. Where is he going to find that first gank? We're going to be entering in the 5-minute mark here in just a little bit.
And gotta remember that EXP in the later stages of the game for EXP actually got buffed a little bit here, so this actually benefits the farming jungler a little bit more. So Sejuani does have the advantage towards the later game. So Zadox now is in a huge ticking time bomb here. or as on a timer, I would say, as he has to try to see if he can make something work if he wants to be able to utilize Lee Sin, because he's going to fall off eventually, right? Lee Sin, unfortunately, doesn't have the best scaling in the world. He's going to get that Warrior for a Power Spike, and after that, it's all basically utility. You know, he's going to get that Sterex, he's going to get that Black Cleaver for to start a little bit. We will have to see on how the jungler matchups definitely do perform, but honestly, like, we could also be seeing the exact opposite of what we were looking for, which is a lot of solo kill plays. We could also be seeing everyone just playing really passive and not really want to give any early advances.
Which is kind of what it looks like. I'm kind of disappointed. We were talking about that 20% XP advantage that you're going to see in the solo lane. No action here as we're coming into the 6-minute mark. But again, with that bottom lane, with a little bit more agency and a lot more priority, I should say, with the Dredge line and Fortune, going to have that priority on the first dragon. Gonna pull it out here. Sonic Wave does land. Lee Sin takes it. Gets hit by the Arctic Assault, and that dragon is popping real low. Has to ward hop flash out. Red team does secure it. That is Illinois Academy that picked up the first dragon of the game, and unfortunately for the Braum, Phoenix is stuck in the pit, and that's first blood. Gonna go over Cuter.
That's really odd if you think about it on why Zadok's really went in. He did not have Smite available when he tried to go in for the steal, which is just... I guess he was assuming that he was able to get away with a steal. I was assuming he wanted to, or he was assuming that I guess it would be a lot healthier and he wanted to start a fight. But overall, Tilted was a little bit late to the rotation. No one was really in position to take that fight for Recon 5 man. That's going to be a very quick and easy first blood for University of Illinois.
And honestly, yeah, it looks a little bit like a lack of communication there, especially the Braum jumping into the pit, Loki not committing. There's no way for Braum going to get out. He could also flash out, I guess, but that'd be expending 2 flashes if they weren't going to commit. So, yeah, maybe the first misstep in this game and a slight lead going to be found by Illinois Academy with that gold lead and first kill and the first dragon, which, as we all know, in lovely Season 10 is, you know, a pretty strong win condition. You can always rely on that dragon win con to close you out a game.
You got to remember that the dragon, the first dragon isn't about the early game buff. It's once again about that late game insurance, being able to get one step closer to Dragon Soul, which is a win condition for some teams here, depending on what dragon we're seeing. So you're either going to see Mountain Soul or Infernal Soul. But once again, most teams are actually sometimes willing to take the trade here for the first dragon. But a little bit of a trade mid lane. Tilted is starting to get at that point where he is able to do some damage to set here, but both mid laners unsurprisingly going to be going for that Blade of Rune King first time.
Yeah, you really can't get around it. I expect nothing else. I would expect anything else in the current meta.
It is the strongest melee item, I would say, in the game at the moment. The best bang for your buck, right? Picks like Renekton, the Set, the Irelia, the Jax, stuff like that are able to use that pick really, really well, and it's pretty interesting on how both Blade or Rune King users are in the mid lane. And if we're looking at the CS surfaces right now, it's kind of to be expected. The Ezreal was definitely a passive laner, right? No surprise that he's going to be playing from behind, especially after a bad dragon play. And also top lane, kind of expected too. Just not really a lot Akali can do in a ranged matchup against Cassiopeia in the early game. So really, it really just comes down to who gets the better trade in the mid lane. But I think it's more of a 50-50 matchup, or more or less who can get that Blade of Rune King first. But right now, it's definitely going to be favoring Tilted, as Irelia does have more tools to be a little bit more tricky compared to the Set, who is a little bit more one-dimensional.
Yeah, for the most part, though, only action that we saw was that Dragonfly early on. Gonna wait another 2 minutes before we see the next one, but Rift Herald is up and running. We're gonna see the first rotation. Bot lane roaming up. Didn't quite get the wave pushed in. Oh, bullet time! Not quite timed perfectly, so doesn't quite pick that one up, and it's picked up by Recon 5. And
it's more like a warning shot. But yeah, the fact of the matter is that Recon 5 were able to get that Rift Herald thanks to a lot of the presence over in the top side and basically not being able to get a ton of vision onto that Rift Herald, along with Sejuani just not being at the correct side of the map at the time. So as a result, we do lose that Rift Herald, but this red buff is going to go on over to Illinois Academy. They snag it during the rotation. I don't think they fight. Oh, okay.
Smite by Zadox. Great Sonic Wave on the top lane,
though. Oh, no.
Shroud, 5-point strike does miss. Oh, and the last bit of that Akali ult doesn't quite land. Seeing the Rift Herald spawn in the mid lane. Tilted, though, getting flanked. Really not respecting this priority. All the ultimate from Sejuani does land. Gonna force the flash from Tilted. Running through the top lane, but right into the wings of the Akali.
Ooh,
With the ultimate with the fancy feet. And Zadox coming in with the safeguard. To Just add a little bit more security there. And
Yeah.
they're just keeping us on our toes here. They're just getting us so much closer. We're going to wait. There's going to be a big fight that's going to break out in 10 minutes. I believe it. 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait that long, but if we do, I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, once again, neither team wants to give any side the advantage, and after level 9, we don't have to worry about that solo XP anymore. The bonus goes away, right? And the top lane engage almost gave a little bit of a buff to Quacker here, but only gets to flash off of it, and that's going to be really good for Diomar here. Sadek's going for a top lane gank, but I don't think he's going to be able to commit just because of how big what that top lane is. But Tilted here, he doesn't have flash.
Commit to it. Zedox does ward hop in, finds the Sonic Wave, but
Wakanari.
the Shuriken Flip will allow her to escape. Unfortunately, though, for Tilted will get locked down. Bullet time. Look at that priority from the bot lane, continuing to make plays, fighting these invades, trying to pick up some priority around these neutral objectives, and unfortunately for Tilted will go down. Great job knowing that the flash is not going to be up in time to escape, and that's perfectly timed for that second trait.
Yeah, a little bit greedy there from Tilted there. I would assume that he was hoping to get probably 2 more waves so that he can immediately get that first buy for Blade of Recon, but now this is going to, I believe, yeah, it's probably going to cost him a dragon here. Teleport is coming into the mid lane and the bot lane. We could be seeing another fight. Zadok's going to
pull it
steal.
out in time. Zedox does land.
Oh,
great
wait!
kick, though, but Semo finds a smite over the wall. Here comes DMR on the back line. Does find the flawless duet onto 2. DMR picks up 1. And looks like we're just going to see a disengage as Kuteric just run right through the mid lane. Back to safety, but Quacker is on the back line. Does pick one on the Phoenix. Now is to find a way to escape. See the Twilight Shroud. Gotta wait for these cooldowns for the Akali. Dandito now in a bad spot. Does find the Showmaker onto the Ezreal. Arcane shift out. Face Breaker into Haymaker. Not a lot of damage there and just caught out. Just trying to buy some time. Maybe a way out for Quacker, and he will escape to the jungle. And is going to get sighted on that control ward. Going to force the recall here.
He's not going to get
risky. I don't think he's going to make it either.
Unlucky.
He tried his best. It was a gamble there. You go for the execute, or you try to fight it out.
He could get a 1-for-1 maybe, but Zadok's is quite low.
there.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, pretty straightforward fight there. Really greedy for Illinois Academy though. I think that's the key point here. They didn't really have to go for that dragon, and they did not respect the reset here from Tilted there. And as a result, they do lose out on basically 4 kills across the board. Kuteric was, I believe, the only one that didn't fall. And they do get the dragon, which is a plus, but once again, they aren't going to be able to get the benefits of having maybe 3 Infernos. But they are 2 steps closer to getting that dragon. So, but overall, very well played. Both these teams have now kind of went past the solo lane 20 XP, temporary XP warning zone, I guess. And now we're going to probably see a little bit more fights coming up, especially with Vision being placed in the top side of the map by Illinois Academy.
Yeah, falling a little bit behind in those kills there, and wasn't able to escape. Does pick up dragon. Oh, great job with that Sejuani ult. Into the bullet time is blocked by a lot of that Braum shield. Phoenix will flash and picked up by the 5-point strike.
Yeah. Great job by Wakanari to...
Just turning it around.
Yeah, just be able to punish... you know, the immobility of Diomar there, didn't have any flash and whatnot. And Phoenix had the right idea. He had the good intentions with that Unbreakable and Shield, but unfortunately there's just a little bit too much AoE damage. There's only so much you can block, but now Loki Dosi. Oh boy.
Here it goes. Here comes the Akali ultimate. Will get hit by Loki Dosi's, but that damage is not enough coming out of that perfect execution. And yeah, you gave Loki Dosi his first kill of the game, and that's something that you got to keep in mind as we're watching both these teams continue to scale. Ezreal and the Cassiopeia, especially on DMR, is already 3-1. Oh, here comes the bot lane action. Flawless duet. There goes the showstopper into the face breaker, and he's just going to walk out.
Yeah. Some things to note, you know, top lane, a little bit interesting there from Quacker. Definitely, like, I can see why he felt like he had the advantage. But overall, Loki Dosi keeps it calm, lands all his shots, and as a result, you know, Quacker does not finish to execute on his ultimate there. And Loki Dosi gets that kill. And over to bot side, we saw a little bit, you know, the Blade of Runes King's power spike here from Dyrelia, while Set still didn't have it. Could have went bad, but thankfully, Dandito was able to get out.
Yeah, thankfully. I almost think he could have committed a little bit harder there. He did have that jungler coming in time, and of course the giant shield you're going to get from the haymaker. But again, playing it safe. And as you said, I think one of the things that we're seeing come into play is that early game into that Cassiopeia zoned off of a significant amount of gold and minions early on. So does not have that gunblade completed for Quacker in the top
Right.
lane. Just didn't quite have the damage, which you
Yeah.
kind of expect. 1v1 between the AD carry and the assassin top Akali. Most people would probably bet on the Akali, but
I
as
would
we're entering the
hope,
15-minute mark,
right.
we're,
You
we're,
you
we're
would
still
hope
waiting on that.
you would hope that the Kali was able to get a little bit of help, I guess, over in the top side, right, with Cassiopeia continuously pushing her under tower. I think the biggest win condition for Illinois Academy was that they really wanted to get this, Akali ahead, right? She is, in theory, a very strong pick, right? On paper, if you get that 20% EXP boost, combined with how hard she can snowball if she gets the earliest gunblade, it makes sense why you want to put a little bit of priority on that Akali pick. But so far, it's really worked. Dmar has played it really, really safe, and there has been a lot more presence in the bot lane by Sushi Kilo. They haven't really been playing a lot towards Quacker, and now we're starting to see the results of that with, Quacker unfortunately getting solo killed by Loki Dosi over in the top lane. Exhaust wasn't even used.
Exactly. And I think for the most part, Sushi Kill is doing an excellent job letting his presence be known across the rift. So much pressure. They technically both have the same amount of kill participation, but the impact that you're seeing as they translate that to multiple neutral objectives. Although I have to, I'm contradicting myself here as we're seeing the second Rift Trail being contested by Recon 5.
So each team, I believe, are just going to trade 2 for 2 for dragons. So you can have 2 dragons, but I'm just going to take 2 Rift Heralds, man. Shelly, a little bit more beneficial here. Gotta remember that Tilted actually got, I believe, the gold from the first Shelly when he was a little bit in danger in the mid lane. But now this mid tower, got me its second Rift Herald of the game, and you hate to see it.
Yeah. This time around, you're not going to get extra gold from those plates, but a little bit of prio on the turret will take the first tower of the game.
Yep.
And as far as this series goes, it's pretty even across the board here.
Yeah. Once again, we are in a much more... There's a little bit more emphasis on snowballing, and both teams, definitely want to take it slow. On paper, yes, both teams are well equipped to get a good snowball going, but there wasn't really a lot of mistakes to punish there. And when there were mistakes available, it just went to usually the bot lane most of the time there. But the thing key to note, Phoenix, 0-3-1, the martyr of the team here for Recon 5 has been taking a lot of the blunt of the misplays here. Once again, there was one play where Diomar was caught out in the mid lane, and the early game, Zadox was trying to get the dragon, but ultimately was punished for it and cost Phoenix his life. So that's for the chat for my boy,
Uh-oh. Here we go. Looking at the dash. Ultimate right onto Diomar. Does get blocked by the shield. Forced to flash. Great ultimate coming out from Loki Dosi. All right, over top of that bullet time. But here comes the dive we were talking about. Tilted onto the backline. Does take out Kuterick. Misfortune does drop, and now it's Illinois Academy that's forced to back up. There goes the Showstopper onto Tilted. We're really just trying to buy time for Quacker to get his cooldowns back up. Dragon's also started. And with 3 members down, that's going to be the first dragon on the side of Recon 5 getting picked up here. Unless Quacker can make something happen.
There is it.
Sushi Killer does not have smite.
I swear, he's going to steal it, is he?
Oh, he does steal it. It is secured by Quacker. He picks it up, and they're turning around this fight. They do lose 2. Just picks up a shutdown, and that's double kill going over to Loki Dosi. But to the third dragon, and next point is Soul for the side of Illinois Academy. That is a little bit unfortunate for the side of Recon 5.
You may have won the battle, Recon 5, but the war is almost won here by Illinois Academy. If they could get 5, or if they could get the next Inferno Dragon, they're going to be able to get that soul. But the key point of the fight, Phoenix with a really, really good ultimate there. Basically denying any follow-up after Sushi Killa goes in for the killing blow onto the Cassiopeia. No one was able to get onto the backline there for Recon 5. Recon 5 were just able to free fire. Aurelia in the backside just destroying everyone with her blade surges and her ultimate there. It really goes to show the difference in mobility in both teams there, and what happens when Akali wasn't really able to, or when the full blunt of Illinois Academy wasn't able to fully follow up at that fight. And overall, just goes to show the difference in team competitions and how more flexible Recon 5 can be in fights. But I mean, at the end, it's not too bad. I mean, Illinois Academy get the dragon, so would have saw that coming then.
Yeah, that is sole point for sure. And from here, we're seeing these team points. The solo laners are picking up a little bit more gold. They're currently both leading in gold across the board between the Aurelia and the Cassiopeia. But when you're looking at that matchup there, you do see the jungler. Sushikilla didn't actually have his smite up, but I probably would have tried to contest that. You're still in a 3v2. Sushikilla was sitting at below half health. I don't know. I wouldn't have risked that up to a 50-50. Great job by Quacker able to steal that. Because now as we're coming into the next 4 minutes or so, if they leave the Baron up, that is going to put Recon 5 in a difficult situation here. So they have to decide which one they're going to contest.
Yeah, looking ahead, you got to realize that right now, Sushikilla only has HP. He doesn't really have any resistance at all. And he's going to be prone to the percent damage here by the Aurelia, by the Cassiopeia. And this Sejuani is going to melt until she's able to pack some resistance. And maybe a Gargoyle Stoneplate after that Warmog there. And that goes to show what happens when Sejuani isn't really able to get any early game leads. But in the long run, she is going to be able to outscale the Lee Sin quite a bit. So she is going to be a little bit more useful. But once again, very linear gameplay, right? It's Recon 5 know what they're getting themselves into. They know that they have a Wombo combo like sitting in front of them. So they have to make sure they use all of the tools available to them to ensure that Illinois Academy do not get that perfect team fight.
And it's so unfortunate. It looks like they're trying to find it multiple times. It's a great job by Phoenix able to disengage. You just gotta love the ultimate. You gotta love the Glacial Fissure that's going to come out almost every single time if he's in the right position. So while they're continuing to find these engages, you gotta look for the right angle. Sushikilla has to be able to find a flank or an angle where the Braum can immediately disrupt all that damage. But as you said, I mean, this Sejuani is just going to continue to scale. He provides so much more value, especially with that permafrost when you're partnered and paired with all those other melees on your team.
Oh, wow. This is a really early Baron.
I kind of like this though. Yeah, this way you don't have to risk competing for that double objective here. You don't have to choose between Dragon or Baron. It's melting too.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to finish it though.
Oh no, the Vanguard's Edge does miss.
Uh-oh.
Stopper onto the backline, into the bullet time. It looks like the Baron is picked up by the side of Recon 5, but they get cleaned up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when you position yourself into a Baron pit like that, you are prone to a double. Once again, I have to mention, it's double crit here for Kutrik. Did not go Zeal. It's just IE and S Reaver. That ultimate's gonna hurt. And Phoenix just melted. And after Phoenix was gone, everyone else from Recon 5 just take the full force of that Baron. And once again, you know, when everyone's in one small, isolated, or closed out space, you know, it's just free money here for Illinois Academy. They do a really good response. A bit late. They lose to Baron here, but Recon 5 are able to get the stall out a little bit. And the key thing is that, once again, the power players here, Dielmar and Loki Dosi, actually have been playing really, really well. But Loki Dosi gets zoned out in front of the fight, and Dielmar immediately take it down. And Tilted was doing his best to zone out the fight during the whole entire beginning of that Baron take. But unfortunately, he's just split away from his team, and the majority of the team just get melted.
And you can kind of tell that fight was going to go wrong early on when he missed both of his CC tools, especially the ultimate. I believe he landed that onto the Misfortune. He was right there. He had the dive. He had all that potential there to zone out that damage. Unfortunately, with it missing there, he kind of up to the 50-50. They do get Baron, though, on 2 members, I believe. Loki Dosi has it as well as Joe. Maybe it's just Loki Dosi, actually.
Tilted and Loki Dosi, I believe.
Oh, you're right. Tilted did secure. He didn't go down in that fight.
Oh, wow. Early teleport. They want to get his Dragon.
Yeah, and this is a big one to contest. Biggest thing about Dragons, that's a permanent buff. Quacker finds a teleport over the wall. It is picked up by Recon 5, but the fight is going to break out. Shield not blocking. Oh, bullet time only over a couple of members here. Vanguard's Edge gets onto the backline, and down goes 2. Tilted and Phoenix are out of this fight. Quacker in the backline trying to deal with Zadox and Loki Dosi, but now they're getting cut off. Looks like they're going to have to kite it out through the jungle. Yeah, maybe they try to split it up.
This around.
Oh, great dredge line there from Wakanari. They had the damage, but you got to dodge those CC tools.
Yeah, unfortunately, when he commits, when he commits to the ult there, he's not going to be able to move there. Oh, Zadox got out.
He does get caught. Let's see this 1v1 between jungler and support.
I don't think support wins here.
I don't think so either.
I mean, he has red buff.
Does that red buff?
It's not going to matter, though.
Not going to matter. Brings him to the turret. Not quite. Yeah, Lee Sin does have a decent amount of damage. Going to have that Black Cleaver completed on this next back, but during all that action,
Tilted.
Let's just take that mid tower. Oh, there goes. Blast away. Does land onto Kuterick, and there you go. That's
during that whole entire play, Tilted was able to get that cheeky teleport on that control ward you see in the bottom side of the map. So So that was really, really good. But that was an example of Recon 5 being forced to take an objective. They could not focus on the fight as a result. Really nasty combination of Set ult and Misfortune ult to really shut down the rest of Recon 5 there. And they have a really, really tough situation here for Recon 5 as we do see another pause.
Yeah, it looks like we're having some mic issues, I believe, between one of these teams here. It's just continuing to happen. So you got to understand, Discord isn't the end all be all sometimes. It's got its own issues, but we make do. We are all grateful for Discord. Thank you so much for being around. But for the most part, as far as the series goes, this is, again, one of the closest series, one of the closest games in these playoff series that I've personally seen. For the most part, you're looking at one team that usually takes it away with every single fight. They have a great draft, and that's usually the end all be all in a lot of these games. But for the most part, these teams are hitting each other back and forth, just trading blows. The gold lead right now is only in favor of Recon 5. They're up by about 400 gold. And they've done an excellent job in the last 5 or so minutes stalling this game out, catching both the Baron and preventing the soul point. And I think for the most part, that's what we're going to have to keep waiting for these neutral objectives to spawn and seeing if they can continue to deny Illinois Academy that Infernal Soul.
Yeah, we do see right now, earlier fights we saw what happened if there was not really if Recon 5 didn't focus on objective first. And the previous Dragon fight, the third one, we saw a great example of Recon 5 being able to zone out the whole entire front line there, the Kali and Descend, Sejuani, away from the backline here for Recon 5. But we saw for the 2 fights in a row, Set being able to land a huge ultimate and Akali being able to dive into the backline, just caused a lot of chaos and misdirection as a result. Everyone in Recon 5 have to scatter. Recon 5 right now, it's going to get harder and harder and harder for them to be able to kite away from the front line here for Illinois Academy. And now that Set is basically caught up, along with Akali being able to get that gunblade and start doing a lot of burst damage, especially if Infernal Soul gets taken, it's going to be so much harder for Recon 5 to be able to continue to peel back. We saw for the past 2 fights a great example of the terrifying combos that this comp can do, even though Recon 5 are really aware of the potential of this composition from Illinois. They still have to play around this simple composition, and so far we've seen if they are distracted by another objective, they aren't able to fully fight against the Wombo comp.
Yeah, and that's probably my favorite part about both these drafts is that you can really tell exactly what they're trying to do. There's no shenanigans. There's no crazy things you're going to see of one-off situations or scenarios. It's going to be Illinois Academy that's forcing an engage, trying to find it, and it's going to be Recon 5 that has to disengage and try to play front to back. Although you're seeing one of those shenanigans here in the top lane. Oh! That showstopper allows him to dodge DMR's ultimate, but his friends are not going to make it up in time, or do they? As the bullet time comes out, does get stopped by the Glacial Fissure. Phoenix is splitting out from the rest of the team, and Peter is stuck to the backline. Does get hit by the Sejuani ultimate, saving his AD carry. And I think for the most part, that's just going to be a 1 for 2.
Time again. We do see the power of the Essence Reaver and Affinity Edge rush on this Misfortune. And even though, we have the Braum Shield, she just melts anyone that happens to be in her bullet time.
Yeah, and I love the trade-off between these teams. Again, you got to worry about the dive onto Lokidosi, but he's got a little bit more peel and self-peel on his own, where he can just arcane shift away, and he can just continue to kite. Whereas Kuderk, he's stuck there, but the trade-off there is how much damage he can output over all of that AoE in such a short time. And for the most part, it's going to come down to the most beautiful fights, and I think it's going to have to wait till one of these objectives spawns, and we're going to have to look for another Baron fight.
Yeah.
Or Baron pit fight. Dragon or Baron, I should say. That's one of the most dangerous places to be when you're sitting and waiting for a bullet time.
Yeah. You would think that, if you ever see a team with Ezreal and Cassie, be like, oh yeah, it's okay, Recon 5 with the late game. But that is unfortunately not the case. The biggest weakness is that there's no true tank here for Recon 5. And they will just get melted by this Misfortune time and again. Even if you have the Braum Shield up, you are still taking a bulk of the damage, and that's going to be Phoenix, He's just going to get melted if he is the only one taking all that damage from the bullet time. Not to mention, once again, yes, it's straightforward on how Illinois Academy get to your back line, but there's not a lot you can do to stop it. You have to outplay them. Earlier we saw the effects of a well-placed Braum ultimate across like 5 members of the whole entire Illinois Academy, but that was an extreme scenario on like it hit everyone. You can only do so much as a Braum to prevent the mobility here from the set and the Irelia, or from the Akali to get to your backline. Well, you have so many ways to stop the Irelia in her tracks if you're an Illinois Academy fan.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking for the 2 birds with 1 stone.
Oh boy.
Maybe gets the interrupt on the misfortune ult, interrupt on all of the mobility, and as you said, Dragon has spawned, and luckily for Recon 5, they're stalling out enough just in time for their Aurelia to make it.
But look at Dandito, he's just waiting for his opportunity to just ult in. Wakanardo taking a lot of poke damage. Zax goes in. But there's set going in.
Want to see. Here comes the set onto the back line. The shield has already been popped, but does not block the bullet time. Those not very well placed. DMR now having to deal with Quacker on the back line. Does pop the Zonius. Frontliners are going down. DMR somehow survives. There goes the flash forward. And unfortunately for DMR, he goes down. Double kill for Kuderk. And Quacker's now cut off from the rest of his team, but maybe in a prime position to flank. Flash Vanguard's edge gets right onto the back line. About to dive. Quacker has to teleport, but he might be too late. Maybe he was in a position to flank, but he's just not there as the flash ultimate from Aurelia turns that entire fight around. And it's just back and forth.
To start things off, the fight played was really well played there by Illinois Academy. A really interesting misfortune ult, zoning away a lot of Recon 5, preventing a lot of means for them to escape the set who's on top of their team. And as a result, you know, it looked like Illinois Academy were going to be able to take the fight and get the Dragon. So, but then Tilted, he was able to successfully back up, gets the teleport, and gets a 4-man ultimate onto the whole entire team of Illinois Academy and melts everyone as they can't do anything. They used all their tools, all their ultimates. They're done with the fight. They thought they were out of there alive, but no one was prepared for the carnage that Tilted was able to get there. Great job by Recon 5 being able to turn it around. It looked grim from the start, but they are back with a 5-man Baron now.
Yeah, and you can't underestimate just the sheer power that comes from an X-Factor play like that from Tilted or from Diomar. As again, these fights are not very easy to be played front to back. If they don't have the clear win condition where they just have to kill what's in front of you, when you have to deal with all those dive tools. Quacker unable to take out all the carries, and especially when you realize that Tilted is now also one of those carries. He can just jump all the way through the back line, take them out, and I mean, just completely well played there by Tilted. And for the side of Recon 5, they have all the momentum as they stalled out the Soul once more and picked up their second Baron of the game. And when you talked about Siege a little bit ago, this is the team that has that Siege advantage. And on the back of the Baron buff, it's going to be even harder for Illinois Academy to stall this out and protect some of those inhibs.
Well, all we can say, though, is that the real loser of this game right now is going to be Phoenix. 0-7-6.
He's doing his best. I am sacrificing my body for my team.
Yeah. His role is very straightforward, but
Xanox! Oh, I'm getting some deja vu there. I have seen that play before on the LCS stage, and Xanox is looking for the opportunity on the bot lane, though. That fight's not going to break out the way that Dandito wanted it. That showstopper does not complete as the Vanguard's edge takes him out. Tilted wins that 1v1, and now it's Recon 5 that's knocking on the doors of Illinois Academy's base. Down goes that first tower in the mid lane, and the first inhibitor of the game.
Two huge plays happening at the same time. Xanox with the extremely impressive insect there onto the key member, Kutrick. He didn't have ultimate, but still a very dangerous member. And also the solo kill in the bot lane by Tilted. 2-level difference between Tilted and Dandito. Just really hard for the set to really do anything. This could be the push to end the game.
And that was a beautiful setup. Let's see if Illinois Academy can play it out. Backs against the wall. Quacker doesn't get onto the back line strong enough with enough health to take them out. He goes down. Down goes Tsuchikilla. And now with Kuderk spawning, does he have what it takes to play it front to back? He does get exhausted. And we talked about that Summoner spell difference here. Looks like first game of the series will go over to Recon 5 as they pick up their second Baron and close out the game in one push.
Took was the hero play from Tilted to turn it all around, deny the Dragon, deny the Baron, and set up the eventual end of this game. Tilted, honestly, if it wasn't for that teleport to get those 4 kills, man, whoo, this game would have been a lot different.
Exactly. And again, going back to the beginning of this game, we were talking about the draft. I agree with you where I probably favored Illinois Academy's draft. I think their comp was easier to execute. It was a lot easier to find those engages. And they had such a huge advantage with the priority they found in the bot lane to pick up all those neutral objectives early on. It's just unfortunate when you take into account just the crazy freak plays, the X factors that come in for the side of Recon 5 when they can just turn it around with one play. Zadok's tilted, single-handedly picking up a win in 2 team fights in a row. It's just, I mean, how do you account for that?
You have to really realize that, that game was, there was at a point where it was extremely Illinois Academy favored. You saw their team fight, right? It's really, really hard to defend yourself against Kudrik's ultimate, just completely melting everyone. You saw Phoenix just get dunked every single fight there. They were playing a 4v5 every single time, and Gandito and Quacker just had the ability to really just mess up the coordination from Recon 5. But Recon 5, they may have lost 2 fights in a row. They may have been on a nice edge, almost getting Dragon Souled on. But as a result of one extremely good fight, and Tilted just snowballing out of control, being able to just take on Dandito like that, and Zadox with that play, that pick to end it all, you gotta realize it may be a new patch or Season 10 still very the same. One mistake will cost you the game. And we just saw a prime example of that right there.
Yeah, and you can see, right? Kudak was doing his job. He was doing the damage. He was doing the deeps on that misfortune. But again, I fully believe if they were able to get that soul on that 4th dragon, they probably would have been able to close this game out. But with it being stalled out numerous times, so across 2 barons, across 2 other dragons, it just bought so much time for the Cassiopeia, for the Ezreal to come online and to just shred through those frontliners. And I think for the most part, that's exactly the kind of game that you want from match number 1. You have a bad early game per se. You're able to play to your win cons, you scale it out, and that's a lot of momentum on the side of Recon 5 as they overcome that 3 dragon deficit at the beginning of this game. And it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be real difficult going into the second game, especially if they come out on top and they come out swinging for this momentum and for the momentum on the side of Illinois Academy.
Yeah, definitely. I am very excited to see on how the rest of the series plays out, Vinny.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that did not disappoint. Back and forth, I do not think one team had greater than a 2K gold lead except for the final moments of that game. And that's exactly what you'd expect from the spring finals of the Upsurge Contenders League. Again, this is Grand Finals, a best-of-5 series. We're going to be back after a short break with game number 2 in the series, so don't click anywhere. We'll be back in just a little bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 of the Upsurge Contenders League playoffs grand finals between Illinois Academy and Recon 5 Green. After an explosive game 1 match, Recon 5 turned that around. It came back from a 3-dragon deficit to walk away with the first game lead. And I think there's a lot of questions to be answered going into the second draft, because I don't think Illinois Academy had a weak draft going into game number 1. And let's see if they can turn it around. You got to wonder, does your mental, is it still intact? Is it a little bit boomed after that? Because they had such a big lead going into that first 15 minutes.
I think one thing that we have to consider is that now Tilted's Irelia has made a statement. I believe it may be a pick that isn't going to be seen the light of day for the rest of the series. But we will definitely have to see if that's something that Illinois want to take away or not. But either way, we are in for a treat of a series there. I don't think that was a draft issue at all. More or less, it was more of just a situational issue, right? Once again, Recon 5 was forced to play to the objective many, many times, and it failed. And then it worked out after Illinois failed to respect Tilted being able to come back into the fight to get a wipe, and then 2 crucial picks by Recon 5. Once again, being able to finish that game off. Now, as we are getting to the draft quite shortly, I'm very excited to see on what adjustments are being made. I would like to see less priority on the jungle, more priority in the solo lanes, and what tools are available for all 4 players.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier about the XP lead that you're going to see. Didn't see that come into play whatsoever for this first game. And bans coming out, as we saw earlier. Rek'Sai, Yuumi being taken away. And Recon, Darius.
It looks like, based on the gameplay we saw, teams are more... I'm expecting the teams to play a lot more passive in the early game now. They wait till level 9 is over, and then they start initiating for plays. Or they start playing towards the bot side, so they don't risk that solo lane EXP going over to anyone. So Cassiopeia being banned away here. Trundle being picked up as a result. One of the best junglers in the game right now. And I'd be happy to explain more into as we get deeper into the draft, but I'm sure everyone's seen enough of Trundle across all regions, I would say.
And we're going to see it. Maybe is it going to be a big mistake here picking it so early? I know something you just mentioned is maybe trying to shy away from jungle priority so early on in the draft. And there we go for the first time, seeing the Bears picked up. It looked very strong last week in the hands of Loki Dosi. You have so much pressure. It's, again, one of the strongest AD carries with so much agency currently in the meta. And you get paired with a lot of different compositions.
Yeah, and some of the things that we have to keep in mind. One, the Trundle being picked up means that Recon 5 do have to be a little bit careful of what they pick up. Picks like the Jarvan, like the Sejuani, like the Lee Sin do tend to struggle against Trundle quite a little bit. I would imagine Recon 5 go for support here, and yeah, we once again have a very safe lane to bot side. As far as the Braum, they don't really want to do much. Once again, there's not really a lot of value to getting those 2v2 kills as compared to 10.7 and before now, as ADCs are expected to be playing from behind, and especially since we don't know for sure what Varus build this is, but this is probably going to be an on-hit Varus.
Yeah, and I like the Braum being picked up once more for Phoenix. Again, he was kind of the martyr for his team, just continually just taking all the bullet time damage, putting that shield up, buying time, locked it again, and Gangplank.
A blind pick Gangplank is something you don't really see commonly. We generally see the Gangplank as a response to stuff like the Aatrox or like the Maokai and Ornn in the top side. But Gangplank being blind is still quite a safe matchup, but there are some matchups where Gangplank would wish to never go. And there it is, the Azir. We didn't get to talk about it last game because Cassiopeia is a priority, but Azir is basically hands down the best mid laner you can get right now. He doesn't really have a lot of bad matchups. In fact, I don't believe he has a lot of bad matchups at all. The meta favors him extremely as a result, and you know, he's going to be that late game assurance, but the only thing we have to keep in mind is that this is 2 solo laners revealed already by Illinois. Recon 5 have all the picks in a row to get a counter pick and be able to play with the advantage of having that counter pick, with at least being locked in here. Recon 5, they're showing that we want to be able to snowball these lanes. We may have some picks prepared. It depends if Illinois know what they want to ban.
It's going to be a little bit harder. At least you have the advantage now to just, well, we already know what we picked. We can just start banning out the counters to these lanes. But again, I think, as you said, it's a little bit odd to see such early picks for the mid and top, especially since there's no flex opportunity there. You pretty much know Gangplank's going top. You know Azir's going mid. And now we just get to see more of those priority bot laners getting banned out by Recon 5. There goes the Misfortune. There goes the Senna.
Senna a lot weaker now. Or actually, both nerfed and buffed because there's a lot more priority in it, or a lot less priority in the bot lane. So Senna doesn't get as much punishment. Once again, key thing, we are once again not seeing an Ornn. And that goes to show how much has already shifted in the 10-point meta and why Ornn is just not a pick we want to, you know, something prioritize. And Ari was left open. That's tilted Ari.
Yeah, it was banned away last game. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you just fall back on those comfort picks. And we're going all in on the scaling train here for Illinois as the Vayne gets hovered alongside Gangplank and Azir is locked in. So
Vayne Janna. I mean, Enchanters right now are a lot stronger. We saw in the LEC the power of Enchanters in 10.6, 10.7, or 10.8. Even better now that priority on aggressive bot laners has lessened, and against stuff like the Tom Kitchen to Braum, you can get away with picks like the Janna, like the Lulu, and be able to create a hyper-scaling ADC, let alone you get less punished for it if you make a mistake.
Yeah, and I think we're just kind of seeing as this draft unfolds, all eggs in the scaling basket on the side of Illinois Academy.
Yeah.
They're gonna opt to give up some of those priority and some of those lanes and just going to hope that. And on the other side, we're seeing all in on the other side of the spectrum here as that Lucian is locked in the top lane.
Yeah, that Gangplank is no longer going to have fun.
Top lane.
Yep.
Yeah, I just it's interesting. I mean, that's a lot of faith. I think Illinois Academy just saying that we're going to have faith in our ability to team fight. We have faith in our ability to, you know, maybe lose lane respectively, and kind of just scale out. Hope to that we just come out at the 20-minute mark and we're okay.
But I think it's like we have to address a glaring weakness with both teams, actually. More or less Illinois than Recon 5. There is no engagement for Illinois. Like, there's none. Zero. Absolutely none. And if they get... I guess, but it's not... There's no hard way to lock down someone like the Ari, right? Who's going to be all up in your back lane. Recon 5 have all the power in the world to toy with Illinois and just outmaneuver them in any sense of the word. And not to mention, Recon 5 having a superior pick composition right now of the Elise Ari. One mistake, one bad move from Illinois, unless you don't have a QSS or you have oranges, you're screwed. Straight up. Illinois right now have picked 3 really good scaling champions, but no weak side lane to show for it, which is really, really odd. All these picks, maybe not the Gangplank as much compared to the Azir and Vayne, but all these picks will need that support, especially since you got the Lucian to Gangplank, which is notoriously a bad matchup for the Gangplank.
Yeah, and I think that's the strangest part about this entire draft to me, is that even if you they chose to pick Vayne Janna into Varus Braum, which again is not the most fun lane for Vayne in the world, and I just feel like if you're going to pick that early on anyway, you should try to save some of those priority picks, some of those counter picks for your solo laners, for the Gangplank, for the Azir, and at least then you don't put yourself at such a disadvantage early on. But it's just what they decided to do. It's what they opted for in this draft, and hopefully it doesn't really turn to bite them at the end of this game. But I mean, it's hard. This one looks a lot more suspect to me going into game number 2.
And we are going to see if it all pays off in the end. The key thing to note is that this is Recon 5's game to kind of... I think they have the advantage for a majority of the game. The mid lane, they have the comfort matchup. The Varus Braum is going to have a lot more agency compared to the Vayne Janna. But the biggest thing is that top lane matchup, the Lucian into the Gangplank. This Lucian, man, has become such a high threat this game. Illinois are forced to try to shut down this Lucian, or else this Lucian may become too big. Once again, the EXP changes favor snowballing top laners, and they also favor picks like the range top laners, like the Quinn, like the Lucian, and so forth. And we will have to see if, Quacker on this Gangplank is more than willing to take this matchup. But I do see the Azir hover. It could be Azir top against Lucian top, but still, let alone, the Lucian has a lot of early game advantage that even if he gets paired up against Azir, he's still gonna have a lot of threat.
Yeah, I'd be fine either way, right? If you're the Lucian, you kind of get to pick what lane you want to put behind. For the most part, for DMR, it looks like I know in the hands of DMR, Lucian's going to be pretty strong. So and for the most part, Tilted too. He's going to opt really to play on that Ari pick. And I think, again, that's just the biggest question mark to me, is that you're giving them the opportunity to get that counter pick. And I don't know, it's just going to be weird. But I think for the most part, going into this second match, as you said before, the engaged potential on the side of Illinois is going to be lacking. You wanted to highlight earlier on, though, about Trundle. How do you feel about that pick going into this game? Is that going to be really one of those picks that's going to be the difference maker? Especially since we're not really playing into any tanks on the side of Recon 5.
Yeah. Trundle is more or less a jack of all trades in 10.7. I may have to resend the same in 10.8 now that there's a less priority in tank top laners, right? And there's more of a priority on strong side top laners as opposed to weak side top laners who are more than willing to give up the game to get that late game scaling, right? Trundle excels very well because he does everything well. He has really healthy clear, right? There's some cases where you can even take 2 control wards and a machete and still be extremely healthy and be able to outduel your opponents. He benefits from the Nimbus Cloak exchanges. He has really good Scuttlecraft control because of his dueling agent power to duel. But the thing is that he does have his bad matchups, and Elise is going to be one of them. As you know, it's Trundle doesn't really win that burst matchup here, especially since Elise is going to be that AP champion, and Trundle is not going to have a lot of early MR to be able to negate a lot of the burst from Zadox here. So Sushi Killer now has to be a little bit more careful. Trundle originally is a really good blind pick, but has his faults as such as he's not the one for engage. He's more one to catch people out of position to set up and engage. And I was very excited to Trundle with the first, but after seeing how University of Illinois have drafted the composition around like really scaling laners that don't really have a lot of power in the lane, a lot of pressure, I feel like it's going to be pretty hard for Sushi Killer to get a lot of advantages. But hey, he played a really good Sejuani game, and I should expect that same amount of power over here, especially since top lane is going to be the name game for Illinois.
Yeah, I for the most part going into this game, I'm hoping the Illinois Academy sees something that I don't, because I think it's going to be a very uphill really climb to really make going into game number 2 to try to tie this series up. And I think that he's got to have faith in their ability to play team fights. You got to have faith in their ability to just make it to that late game, because I think that's where we're going to see some action here. Recon 5 putting all their eggs, though, in that early game basket. Hopefully it pays off for them. Both these teams, though, as we're going into the series, again, this is the grand finals. There's so much on the line here for both of these squads, and we're going to have to take a look at who's going to walk away with game number 2 in just a little bit, but not before we thank one of our wonderful sponsors, Kono Keyboard. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been around and have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge, and have made generous contributions to our prize pools like the ones that these guys are competing for right now at this very moment. If you need to find a new keyboard, check out the Hexgears X1 RGB low-profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. You can use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your order. And for more information, head over to kono.store to check out all that they have to offer. That's kono.store. Kono. Discover amazing products. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, in just a little bit. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back with game number 2 in just a little bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 of the Upsurge Contenders League Grand Finals between Illinois Academy and Recon 5 Green. As you can already see, we've swapped sides. Left side, the blue team is going to be Illinois Academy. On the red side, we're going to see Recon 5 Green, who currently lead the series 1-0.
Yep.
And already a little bit bolder than the last game. Going to see that invade, which you'd kind of expect from the Brom.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that the level 1 here for Illinois Academy is pretty bad. So Recon 5 are just going to be able to go ahead and roll with the Brom up into the top side of the map. There's not really much Illinois Academy can really do about any of that at all. Like, they don't really have any way to lock down or counter any of the level 1 coming out from Recon 5, so that's just back up. Also, it's Lucian Brom, right? So it's just not a good time.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, not just level 1, but I think the first 5-6 levels is kind of really in the gutter here for the side of Illinois Academy. Again, it's just there is so much scaling on their team. There's really not any priority in any of their lanes, and it's just not something that you really like to see in a draft. But again, they're the ones playing today. Maybe they know something I don't, as we're going to come into the first couple of moments in this game.
Yeah, I mean, some positives that Wakanari on his Janna, he's very comfortable with the Chanter supports. He's very comfortable with picks like the Brom and the Tom stuff that don't require a lot of interaction in the lane. So it's going to be, he is in his comfort zone, but in reality, it's basically Recon 5's game to lose. If they make the mistake, it's on them. But they like, with this draft and whatnot, they have a lot of power in the early game.
Yeah, and that's going to be the lane that I want to look at too. We're talking about the most power in the game. Looking at that top lane, Quacker into DMR. DMR on that Lucian pick, where you just have so much pressure. We're seeing Lucian all the time in the top lane, in the mid
there's
lane.
a boss.
And yep, there we go. This time it doesn't look like a Discord issue, but it's more of a lag issue, which, again, something that we got to account for. We got to respect. We want a competitive integrity across the board. Everyone to be fair and equal.
I'm also gonna have to do a correction here. On the bot lane, I originally was not a fan of the Vayne and Janna, but it's not because of the laning phase. No, it's because of how it synergizes with the rest of the composition here from Illinois Academy. I think the Vayne and Janna is very smart into something like the Brom, who isn't gonna be able to punish the weak early game from the Vayne. And Janna's going to do a great job of protecting his Vayne, being able to let her farm for free, while this lethality virus is just going to be forced to farm the backside. The problem is how that translates to the late game, because his Vayne only really has this Janna to rely on, doesn't really have a front line to soak up a lot of the damage, and the rest of the team is really, really squishy. So Kudrik definitely has to play this Vayne very, very well, but I could see it working out.
Yeah, you just got to hope. It's just a good old solo queue Vayne where you're just going to be on your own island. You're just running around, turning invisible, tumbling around, winning your 1v1s, playing the front to back. And I mean, that's all I got to hope for if that's my Vayne on my team as well. So, but looking at the top side, kind of to be expected. We did see the Elise getting picked up as Quacker does get pushed into lane, but gets sighted by the Trundle.
And you see Zadok's playing towards the top side, being able to protect that Lucian. It's basically jungler 101. You know, you want to play towards the strong side of your map. This bot lane doesn't really need a lot of help. It's not going to be a fun bot lane, granted, but it's going to be a lane that doesn't really need a lot of gank presence. As you know, they're able to push into the wave like this. Yes, they get poked down. Yes, they're not going to be as healthy compared to the Vayne and Janna, but they are still going to be prone to a lot of damage. While Elise is going to get a double scuttle clear because of the amount of power that the Lucian has at the top side, and Turtle can't really respond right now in the river. He's going to have to give up a lot of EXP.
Yeah, and I'm honestly not expecting too much action in this game before that level 6 spike. And so I'm going to have to watch the rotation between these junglers. That's going to be the most action we're going to see. Double scuttle picked up for the Elise, as you said. That's a win on the side of Recon 5 for the second game. Big plus, big plus.
And now what you do here, if you're Elise, is that once again, you just path towards the top side. And if top side needs any help, you know, you're just going to be there to counter gank, because this bot lane is going to play super safe, man. Both teams are going to play super safe. No one's going to be like, hey, jungler, and they're just going to back off, you know. It's just going to be it's just going to be a game of cat and mouse, and who's going to run away the best, you know.
I'm loving the Brom actually just shielding the Zephyr the W coming out from the Janna. Just again, the most action we're going to see. Another thing, if you didn't notice either, Loki Dosi picking up the corrupting potion actually for lane, just to continue that sustain up, to have more mana to keep throwing out those Qs over and over again.
It's the classic lethality VAR strategy, you know, being able to get that. You generally only see an exhaust or a teleport to go along with it, as you don't really need that heal because you're playing just so safe. But oh, look at the mid lane.
In the mid lane, forcing the flash out from Tilted. Does get cocooned under tower, and Sushi Killer makes the first mistake of this game, sending the first blood over to Tilted. Bot lane. Going out, so nothing gonna happen. Top lane also almost dove.
That's just so bad for the whole entire team for Illinois Academy, because
I thought they had it there too.
Yeah, DMR just continues to dominate this top lane and this mid lane play that is basically the only gankable lane at this point. Gank doesn't work. Gank works out at first, but then Tilted gets the charm. Needed to get him under tower. Zadox is there to follow up, and now once again, Tilted on basically one of his most comfortable champions, gonna be able to get a first blood there. It's gonna have a lot of power in this lane. This Azir isn't really gonna do a lot. And look at the Zadox just protecting top lane. Oh my god.
As you already said, I mean, as far as the 1v1 goes, Sushi Kill on Trundle has advantage over a number of junglers, but into that Spider Lady, into Elise, I mean, that's a matchup they just really want to take that free burst.
And DLMR right now is trying to let his lane push into him to deny even more farm. Oh, actually not anymore. He's just going to be pushing up now. Now that he has two members of his team coming up to the top side, setting up for a dive.
There goes the calling.
Yeah, and this is probably a dead Gangplank.
Yeah, Quacker does still have flash, going to use his ult on the wave. But here comes Ari, does miss charm. Currently Tilted is taking the tower, but Zadox just comes in for the alley-oop to complete that kill, and that's a second one going over the side of Illinois. Or not Illinois, from Illinois over to the side of Recon 5. That's, I mean, honestly, that's just pretty standard there. Good old Elise just walking in behind your turret and wrapping that one up for you.
And this sets up the Lucian to have basically a free laning phase here. Now,
I like this. The confidence coming out from Quacker, TPing back to the top lane, forcing DMR to take one. Hits by the cocoon, though. Zadox does still have repel, and he gets taken down. Super punished for that teleport. Doesn't even pick up the kill on the DMR. He gets executed. That is not what you want to see if you are Quacker, or a Quacker fan, or an Illinois Academy fan coming into game number 2, as they now drop 0-3. And that is very suspect to me. I mean, teleporting up into the 1v2 against an Elise.
Yeah, and that's the gameplay. Now he's going to be losing a cannon wave and another wave, I would imagine, under tower. As a result, though, this means that bot lane may be in a lot of trouble here. But Loki knows with the flash. At the very least, I think Braum goes down. No, very safe bot lane play. Yeah, Illinois can't get anything for that.
I like that, though. Illinois, you got to find a way to find some priority somewhere else on the map. I like them just not rolling over in this early game, trying to make something happen. Didn't quite work out there, but that's what I'd like to see, as they got to find a way back into this game. This is the biggest goal lead, I think, that, I mean, this is probably bigger than the goal lead we saw the entirety of last game.
This is just so bad if you are Illinois Academy, because, yeah, sure, you get the first dragon, but you got to remember the impact of first dragon is very minuscule in the early game. It only really affects the late game, and now DMR is in a position where he's going to be looking to solo kill that gameplay. He no longer really needs help in that top lane, and Quacker right now is about to get a wave that's about to get no farm, because that is a huge wave that's going to be pushed into DMR here, and I don't think he's setting up for a dive anytime soon.
That's probably the worst thing here. That's when you start asking your jungler, like, man, my wave, you got to help me out here. We got to push this in. But at the same time, give me some time. Give me some time. Give me 20 more minutes, and then I'll have some items, and then Lucian's going to regret it. But Lucian with that significant farm lead on the top side.
Yeah. And you saw earlier, like, there's not a lot of synergy between these champions. Even though they went for the dive, there's no way to lock anyone down. And if you're banking on an Azir wall to, like, be that primary CC, and there was flash up, that's just, yeah, I don't know what you could do in that situation. So it's just looking worse and worse for Illinois Academy. Like, usually, like, in most situations like this, like previous matches, we wouldn't be talking down on a team that's already, like, only 3k gold behind. But the status of the game right now is just going to be really, really rough, especially once again the changes in 10.8. in favoring snowballing solo laners now, and Quacker is just not really able to do anything. He has to give up, and the whole Illinois Academy has to give up their entire top side of the map.
Here in the mid lane, though, Sushi Killer trying to make something happen. And that's about it, though. When you're looking at the engage and the gang potential coming out from Trundle, throws a pillar up, and Tilted just kind of dashes away with that Spirit Rush. And that's another thing I like that. I mean, they have very, very safe lanes across the board inside of Recon 5.
Dive once again, almost being set up. You see Elise going to be put into position, but it's going to back off. There's no wave under the turret just yet. Going to have to wait for more wave. But Elise, look at where Elise is right now. Is going to meet with Trundo. Is going to get pinged away. I was looking to maybe stall the wave, the proxy a little bit, but Trundo was at the right place at the right time. But still, 2v2 in the top side. Soon to be a 2v3.
Going for it all. Here comes the Rift Herald. Is spawned. Repel already pops. Going to walk on out of there. Just going to hope that Shelly doesn't get stalled too long on those minions, so they get those free plates. Here comes Tilted mid laner roaming up. Make sure they get Shelly all the way there. Yep. Yeah, they definitely do. That's going to be first tower, and DMR is now free to roam or free to keep pushing in that top lane.
I think if you're DMR, you just keep playing that lane, dude. You just keep making this Gangplank's life miserable.
And for the most part, I mean, just hats off right now to Recon 5, just continuing to push that advantage.
Yeah.
We're looking at the 11-minute mark, and they've taken 2 towers on the top side of the map. Currently leading by 5,000 gold.
Yeah. And I know last game we talked about, it was mainly a skill or a situation difference, but this is, I'm definitely seeing draft difference right now. Like, I don't think right now, yes, there's more priority in the solo lane, but if you're blue side, you can't play your cards too early. Azir by itself would be really, really good, but showing this Gangplank and knowing that there are a lot of hard counters to Gangplank, he's not exactly the safest blind pick in the world. Something like Aatrox maybe would have been a little bit better if you knew you weren't getting a counter matchup mid or top lane, or maybe even just going for the bot lane. Just still, there's a lot of things that can prevent the situation, but now, like, Illinois Academy willing to put themselves in this situation, and we're seeing the effects of this. This is a Blade of Rune King Lucian who now is going to be rotating to the bot side while Gangplank finally gets a sigh of relief, but that's going to mean that Illinois Academy concede the objective.
I finally get to farm. I'm finally getting a wave to myself here. But as you said, rotating over to the ancient group. Yeah, I got a little bit. And like you said, I mean, you're looking at the draft, and I mean, there's just no room for any imagination there on the side of Illinois. I mean, you just draft your solo laners. 2 solo laners that, sure, you might want to prioritize in a standard composition. I mean, they're very, very strong picks, but just let them get countered. Now we're seeing the same action be taken on the bot side.
And I'll pop.
The entire bot lane is getting herded over to that tower here. Pop the pillar, trying to find some sort of engage. Zadox might be in a bit of trouble here. Here comes Quacker, adding that assist. Chains of Corruption does pop to disengage. Bandito coming around, trying to find the shuffle of a lifetime here. Does get interrupted by the great Glacial Fissure there by Phoenix.
Yeah, and overall, that's just, Recon 5 basically win at. They get the Dragon. They pop a lot of important ultimates and summoners there, and they get some turret playing here and there. But now look at the top side, Quacker. Oh boy, he's dead.
Okay, this is a very different look here, though. This isn't the Lucian. Maybe he's got a chance here. Going to force the flash. Tilted going to keep chasing with that Spirit Rush. Auto attacks and Ignite. Burn, and just going to flash to pick that one up. And it's a 4-kill lead right now on the side of Recon 5.
Yeah, Glacial Augment, you're not getting away from that. Zadox, though? Over in the bot side, someone just back.
Here comes the Cocoon onto the Janet. Does get them back. The Wakanari does go down.
And it's like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, Venny, but it's just Illinois Academy. They just don't have a lot to work with here.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like Recon is picking up right where they left off in the last game here, just continuing to push their advantage, finding the leads early on with the draft, and then just inserting all that pressure across the entire map. I mean, again, with time, they're going to continue to scale, right? I mean, the Azir picked up his first item, has his first one. I mean, Gangplank in a little while will have his Trinity Force. We're going to see Bork eventually on the Vayne. Give it time. But Recon 5 did a great job not giving them that opportunity as they've taken 3 towers in the first 14 minutes of the game.
do want to mention though, there's a large EXP disparity right now across basically everyone. DMR about to turn level 11. Tilted also about to turn
Ooh, there we
level
go.
11. Oh,
And the condemn onto Zadok's going to repel over to
Is he
the
gonna
ward
be-
on the other side. How lucky is that? They had the control ward on the other side to make sure that he could get out.
how
Just
convenient.
away. How convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
man, that is everything that could go wrong is going wrong right now on the side of Illinois Academy. But you gotta have faith. If you don't have faith, you know why are you here?
That's exactly the kind of play like that may have brought Illinois back into the game a little bit, but you have to start wondering like where are the strong points of Illinois Academy? Like this bot lane right now just is gonna get neutered for 3 levels because DLMR and Tilted are about to hit level 11. Like their level 11 power spikes, along with some early items here, it's gonna be really hard for Kudrik and Wakanari to be able to survive any of the initial bursts because of just how, you know, I guess different EXP works works now.
As far as 10 point, I mean that's really coming into play here, and something that I severely disagree with. You know, as a bot lane main myself, I mean, my top laner loses, and he's just even stronger now. Like you're telling me that the top laner is going to be 4 levels up on me coming into the 16-minute
Yeah,
mark?
it's pretty,
I mean,
it's
that's
pretty
not fair.
insane. But the key thing to really note here is that, you know, no kills have been gotten over to the side of Illinois Academy. They haven't really been able to find anything, and you know there were a couple of solo kills going on over to the side of, you know, Recon 5, and now you know it's just a snowball effect from here. And there's not a lot of comeback tools that you can really use if you are on the side of Illinois Academy, and they have to look like Recon 5 have to do something drastically dumb in order to like lose the advantage they have in this game. I'm not even exaggerating here. It's just the current state of the game right now for both teams. It's like you
Maybe
buy
they go
yourself
and
a buy
they
yourself.
take the inhibs. Yeah, maybe they'll take the inhibs early, give them a chance to come back. I mean, they're doing a great job. They're pushing these waves in, which is allowing Illinois Academy to catch them, to gain some gold, you know, relatively safely. But at the same time, they're using those priorities to pick up these neutral objectives. There goes another Rift Herald. Dragon's about to spawn in 35 seconds.
It's like you have now. It's like okay, I'm thinking about it now. This Azir is a bit strong, right? He does have Tenacious Tooth. He is gonna have a little bit of agency, but the problem is like he's the one that has to initiate a lot of play. Like,
Oh, here comes the play. There goes the streamer shuffle onto the backline, and forcing the flash up from Tilted. Looks like Sushi Kill is just trying to escape, getting back to safety.
yeah.
Thought that was going to be the play, was not the play for Dandino. Not enough follow-up. Kudrik does pick up one on the Zadox. He does not get away this time. They're finally on the board. That's 1-6. But
Yeah.
Shelly does get 2 pushes, and that second tower almost went down.
Oh,
Tilted does catch
no.
out. Wakanari does go down. Breaking down onto the backline. Sushi Killer does body him off. It's a big shutdown going over into the books for Kudrik, which is what you want to see. Vayne 2-0. Going to finish that board here on the next recall.
Yeah. But that fight is, you just saw the big weakness for Illinois. They don't have engage, and their engage is to carry. Like, what happens if the Azir tries to do a Shiryu Shuffle? He doesn't have any survivability on it, doesn't have Hourglass or anything. He just gets popped by the rest of Illinois Academy. Like, or not Illinois Academy, sorry. Recon 5. It's just like, it's just such a terrible situation to be put in when you're the main carry, but you're also the main form of engage, and you just get punished if you do.
You got to throw your body in there. They picked up some shutdowns, so that is, you know, as far as worth goes, as worth as it can be for the Vayne. But I mean, look at the difference right now. You're looking at the gold leads. I mean, still 7,000 gold in favor of Recon 5. And I mean, they actually killed the jungler, but they didn't have enough confidence to even push into the dragon to even try to contest. So there's no blast cone. I'm trying to really can't steal. Really?
It just doesn't get any easier here for Illinois Academy because, yeah, sure, I mean, Vayne has some gold, but is still pretty behind. Is the most gold in the in her team, but does not have more gold than anyone else besides the support for Recon 5.
Okay, well, I want to correct you there. Vayne does have the least amount of deficit to compared to her lane opponents. I mean, she's only down by 100 gold, whereas you're looking at top lane, they're down by 2k. Or, yes, I mean, so, you know, that's just positives. You gotta be positive here, right?
Some positives here and there, but still, I gotta, the negatives still kind of are there with the fact that there's Tilted and Zadex that are looking to lock her up and immediately burst it down. There's a lot of just room for Kudrik to get taken down, and he has to be really, really careful.
Great cocoon there onto Wakanari, just getting burst.
Oh my god!
Just completely disappeared. Kudrik now flashing over the wall to safety. 44ers jungler does get caught out by the Glacial
Yep.
Fissure. They're just popping all their ultimates to secure these 1-for-1s. 9-2 right now, trying to push in the mid lane. Luckily for Dandino, does have the items to poke out enough to force Zadox to reconsider. And potentially enough wave clear. Now, they does have the Nashor's Tooth and an Needlessly Large Rod. At the same time, DMR is just doing his job on the bot lane there.
He was just zoning Gangplank out completely during that whole entire fight. Like, Gangplank couldn't even get to that wave under tower. But a 2-for-0 there for Recon. Goes to show how powerful their pick is with the Ahri and Elise. And once again, it's just to show the unfortunate synergy of the composition. There's really nothing, Illinois can do to counteract this pick. Once they get caught out, they can't commit to these fights, and the time they have to try to catch back up continues to be shorter and shorter. Now, as the gold lead continues to balloon from like 7K, now about 9 or 8K.
And I mean,
keep getting harder.
XT, what do you do here? How do you stop the bleeding? How do you try to find a foothold here?
I honestly don't know. I literally usually have a solution, but it's like there's just so little tools for you to find that comeback. Like, it's on Recon 5 to give Illinois Academy that comeback. Like, at this point.
Gangplank's sitting on 2/3 of a completed Trinity Force, so we're getting there with enough time.
Will he be able to complete a Trinity Force by the end of this game?
Bane's almost on that 2-item spike. But, I mean, even when we get to the items, even if we're playing with an even gold back and forth, I mean, how does Illinois Academy force these fights even? I mean, how do you even choose to take these as they're down 2 dragons?
The dream scenario would have been if this Azir was, like, substantially ahead, he would be able to poke out the pushing Recon 5 team, right? That would have been an objective, but he's just not there. He's not at a point where he's able to do that just yet. And everyone else on Recon 5 are just like, they're at the 2 Iron Power Spectre working at 3rd. Like,
yeah, you're looking at just a Lethality Varus that can sit and poke you away from a full screen. And there's not a lot of sustain on the side of Illinois Academy. They don't necessarily have like a Soraka in the back line to heal you up, to help you recover from all that poke. You just kind of have to take it over and over again.
Well, Tilted is playing really.
The Spirit Rush finds the charm and the culling, and they're using everything. Change of Corruption go down as well as the ultimate from Phoenix. Gonna flash forward. They already used his ultimate, trying to lock down Dandino. They find it. Late ultimate coming out from Wakanari, not going to save anyone. Quacker's now stuck in that little choke. Is taken down by the rest of the onslaught from the side of Recon 5. That's 3 members down. And they're so far ahead of themselves, they forgot the wave back in the middle of the lane there. They're going to walk it back, but multiple objectives are spawning. Baron is up, as well as Cloud Drake in 45 seconds.
Yeah, Tilted just literally just walked into the face of death and laughed at it. Like usually it's kind of suicidal to be walking to 4 members when they all have everything up. But it doesn't matter. Like, Tilted is just so ahead. Like, he's just able to walk in for free and just, you're dead. Get that charm onto the Trundle. He doesn't have cleanse, so he's immediately taken down. Doesn't have any resistance at all. And Dandino, yes, he does have cleanse, but that small window of opportunity from that like 0.5 seconds was enough for everyone else for Recon 5 to take him out.
Yeah, that timing. They're going to make it back, recall with the Baron, and get just to the river in time for that dragon to spawn. But on a positive note for Illinois Academy, Trinity Force has been completed for the Gangplank.
Yay!
And Janna might even have her first item here in... Oh, nope, she doesn't. Not quite. Janna does not yet have her first item.
Technically, she does have the support item.
Oh, true. That is a complete... You're right. She shouldn't have to spend any more gold on it.
Oh, it was a complete item to start with. But, well, I mean... Alright, back to reality. Dragon's completed. 3rd item's finished for Tilted. Azir's still working on his Rabadon's death cap.
Which is going to be a pretty big spike again. Probably at least buy enough time there will survive this Baron to stall out the waves a little bit longer. Again, I mean, they went all in on the scaling comp, so you just give them another... Again, like, no joke here. Just give them a little bit of time. Give them 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. Stall it out. Maybe get a lucky play. You're able to stall out the dragons just like Recon 5 did last game.
But once again, it's like... Yeah, they have to basically just play perfectly, right? They can't
can they do that without giving up their inhibs? That's going to be the big question here. As soon as they start losing and opening up that base, they just lose even more priority here.
Quacker in the bot side. Oh, Zadox in trouble. But look at all that damage from Lethality Varus.
Propel straight out, but Tilted on the back line here. Coming in from the top lane in this
one. No! Wakamari, dude. Oh,
yeah, there's just too many fronts. They're fighting this war on too many fronts. Turrets are dropping all at different times. Going to force the cleanse out from Tutoric as he cleanses that Ignite on the top side. Tilted 1v2 in the bot lane. Down goes that top tower. Down goes the bot tower. And the mid tower soon to follow with about 600 health remaining.
This is so last game. Oh, well, we'll get to that. Azir's dead.
He is indeed down. He goes. Mid lane inhibitor is going down, as well as the
All
top
3 inhibs.
and the bot. We're coming at the 25-minute mark with 3 inhibitors down. We're trying to stay positive here. That is more gold. Oh, here comes the full-on fight here. Shield walking up. They're going to use that just to walk forward here. Culling is popped, forcing the side of Illinois Academy to loop around their own nexus to safety back to the fountain. But for the side of Recon 5, they're just running through this game with all the priority. Coming in the back to a 15k gold lead. There's really not much else you could say as we close out game number 2 with a very substantial lead and with a lot, pretty big statement to be made actually in game number 2. This was a massive difference between these two teams. When we're looking at the gold, when we're looking at the draft, when we're looking at the priority, it was just nothing was going right for Illinois Academy in the second game of the series.
That was match point. And we just saw like basically a game that I hate to say it, I never really like saying this, but a game that was basically decided from draft. And Recon 5 got everything they wanted. And the only thing positive, unfortunately, about Recon or Illinois Academy's game there was Kudrik's KDA of 1 or 2. Sorry, he got a 2 KDA. Like everyone got slapped in the top side of the map. Like it just was not close at all. Like the Trendo I can respect, the Azir I can respect, but the gameplay was revealed too early, and this synergy between the gameplay and the Vayne with Janna, along with Dandio being the only form of engage, it's just such a hard and difficult composition to make work. And we saw right there the faults that composition face.
Yeah, and it's just got to go back to game 1. It just looks like I had to hope that the mental was still there, that momentum shift on the side of Recon just wasn't too much to overcome. And the most unfortunate part about this game is that was 25 minutes of suffering on the side of Illinois Academy. Can they reset? Can they regroup going into the third and potentially final game of this series to really find that comeback? Because when you're sitting there and you're trying to scale, when you're just getting beat down from all 3 lanes, that's not the greatest place to be in. So, hopefully Illinois can dig deep. They have that adversity they can overcome, as we're going to come into potentially, or it's not potentially, it is match point for the side of Recon 5. And we're going to find out that I think the biggest things are going to be revealed come into this third draft. Can they fix up and shore those weaknesses? We'll be back in just a little bit with game number 3. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Upsurge Contenders League. This has been so far a very eventful finals. Great game 1. A little questionable game number 2, and hopefully we're setting the stage for an explosive game number 3 and potentially reverse sweep, maybe? Who knows? We'll have to find out. We'll be right back, guys. Don't click away from those browsers. We'll be right back in just a little bit. And we are back with the third game of the Upsurge Contenders League Playoffs Grand Finals. Draft is already underway, and exactly the first 4 bans I'd expect from both sides. Some exactly the same the last 3 games. And something a little bit new, though, Trundle being taken away inside of Recon 5. Last game, they did ban away the Cassiopeia, something they didn't want to see on the blue side, but something they also opt to pick up pretty early, something they prioritize pretty heavily in their drafts.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see what Illinois Academy can do now that they're back on the red side. They get the counter picks going into this game, which I would argue that they had that. There's the Cassiopeia. I would argue that Illinois Academy had that advantage in draft in game number 1.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to be going back into the swing of things here. We're in game number 1, same bans across the board. Recon 5 are going to get that first pick, Cassiopeia. Once again, this meta is more favored red side because you get the opportunity to get that strong side of the lane. You get that counter pick. Ashe going to be blind picked here, and Ashe has actually gone in popularity as a very consistent blind pick. The Hail Blades build is the one that really comes into mind, being able to mitigate a lot of the early game weaknesses by getting that early CDR, being able to just become an alt bot, and basically let your team carry. So Illinois picking a very safe bot lane to start things off.
Yeah, and seeing not one of the traditional 2 bot laners that we're seeing in competitive play every week. We get Ashe, Tarek on the side of Illinois Academy. Ashe, which did see a buff in this recent patch.
Mm-hmm.
See if it's enough to really bring her to the forefront. Hopefully we'll see her more often. I just like it being shaken up a bit, you know?
It's just so nice not seeing Aphelios Ornn every single game now, because it's just not their time to shine, I guess, right now in 10.8.
Misfortune, Varus every single game, every time. So, you know. But, I mean, Recon 5 looking at very similar draft to what we saw in game number 1. This time around picking the Morgana, which, I mean, that's probably the safest pick here, right? You're picking your support, counter.
Black Shield, gonna be very good here. Not gonna get locked in, though, by Illinois Academy, and that is a jungler that doesn't really do a lot in the early game, pre-6, but this is, like, Illinois right now, they're looking at a level 6 composition, like, straight up. They're just looking to just have a huge power spike in, like, 7-8 minutes, and just be able to win off fights based off all the tools to get compared to Recon 5. It could also be a Nocturne mid, though. Is a very popular pick into the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and that's something I'd see almost more often than the jungle's position. So, but again, that's what you like to see, though, from drafts, the ability to flex things multiple directions. So, something that Illinois didn't really have in the last game, so they got a little bit more flexibility. And going into this draft, they do have the counter pick for their solo lanes.
Basically have counter pick advantage for the top lane now too, since they've already gotten to counter pick into mid lane, and they're just banning away all of the junglers in the game, like all the relevant junglers. Like the only one I can think of right now is Jarvan, and Jarvan's banned. So like, what's left is like what, Graves?
Yeah, I mean,
there's like
Graves,
Gragas.
I like it though. I mean, you're taking away a lot of the priority that we'd see on the side of Zadox, who has been very impactful throughout this entire series.
Karthus is open, and he is considered to be like the go-to best jungler, AP jungler right now because of the EXP changes in the jungle. Or
and
boy.
you will see it. I know you were saying a little bit.
That's open. Hello.
That's what I was about to say too. Set
Wait a minute.
Still on the table. I mean,
but maybe Recon 5
counter for mid lane. I mean,
yeah, maybe Recon 5 rather counter to jungle, flex to Nocturne maybe. But Set is still available. A very popular matchup into the Ornn, even more deadly now because of the Blade of Rune King and EXP changes. Ornn takes a bad trade into early game. Pyrelia is going to be the go-to pick here. That's probably Diomara into Cassiopeia. This Ornn is not going to have a good time.
Yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah, we're looking at a run back to the same draft that we saw in game number 1. This time around, Phoenix is he's off Braum duty, going to pick Morgana, which is still
no longer a martyr. Yeah, no longer gonna go. What, he was like 0-7. Poor guy.
He walked away with the win. And there we go. It kind of to be expected. Zadox getting Graves. He still gets an early. Well, I mean, a jungler with more priority, the ability to duel.
And it kind of fits this composition well because Recon 5 right now, they have really strong laners in general. They have really good matchups in. I would have liked to see the Karthus, but I don't know if that's what Xanax plays. But Graves also kind of fills that role of Karthus, where he's got a hard fighter jungler, just play to the counter engage and scale up with his team here. And to be fair, like Recon 5's options are like extremely low already. Like what other junglers are available besides like Gragas, right? And Xin Zhao is going to be a name game here. Illinois, oh man, all signs point to mid lane as being the target for this game.
Yeah. I mean, break these down for me, XT. Which one? Who won draft for Recon 5? Illinois? As we're coming into match point for this entire series.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit somber. I mean, just coming after the second game, that was just so one-sided. I mean, this third game, how are you feeling?
This third game right now, Illinois, they have a clear game plan. You see that mid lane, you see that Xin Zhao. They want to get this Nocturne ahead. They want to get the Xin Zhao ahead. And all signs point to top side. This Ashe Tark is just going to be AFK in the bot side, just like looking to be safe, play safe, kind of like the Ezreal Braum that we saw and the Varus Braum we saw the other game. It's kind of the same concept here. Illinois and Recon 5 are just basically getting a truce. So now the question is, can Cassiopeia and Irelia outplay the pressure from Xin Zhao? Because obviously Irelia and Cassiopeia are going to be constantly shoved in, or shoving Illinois Academy in, right? And Nocturne and Ornn, Nocturne has a little bit more of an ability to be able to trade. Would want that Cassiopeia matchup, but the Ornn's the problem child. I would have loved to see the set instead of the Ornn. Ornn just has a lot of weaknesses here, and now with a meta that is even harder to play against when the team's snowballing, that you have to make sure Illinois don't fall behind for Ornn to get that power spike. Otherwise, that power spike is going to get non-existent, even when Ornn gets the advantage, if he loses a lane too hard.
Mm-hmm. And as far as this matchup goes too for Recon 5 when they're picking their solo laners, which one do you think will go top or mid? As we do know, both DMR and Tilted can swap those picks and flex in both directions. Do you think Cassiopeia for DMR will go back to the top lane? Or will we see that into the mid lane against that Nocturne?
Honestly, it looked like we're going to be seeing DMR with the Cassiopeia and Tilted on Irelia. Picks are for sure, but I don't really know the lane assignments for sure. Recon 5 do not care. I guarantee it. Like, they don't care if they get the Cassiopeia Nocturne or Irelia Nocturne matchup, because they're guaranteed that winning Ornn matchup, right? Both Irelia and Cassiopeia are like very giddy at the sight of an Ornn pick. And especially if the Nocturne does go topside, that means he does not have that pressure from his ultimate to go ahead and gank bot. So this Ornn is probably going to be stuck into topside, and this Ornn is probably going to be stuck with a really bad matchup. And I expect Recon 5 to just have standard lane assignments and just play to how they played basically game number 1, with the difference where they don't have that Lee Sin to provide a lot of pressure, but this time they have a more idle approach, or more passive approach, where this Graves is just going to be AFK and just looking to farm up as much as he can.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see these same solo lanes for the side of Recon 5. And Cassiopeia was such a contested pick for Recon. I mean, picked almost, I think, at least 3 of the 4 games last week in their semifinal run against Honeybee Esports. And, I mean, just picked again for D. I mean, Tilted can play it as well. It's just one of those picks that is, you got to wonder, is that something that you shouldn't have left up? It didn't really come into play as much in game number 1, but it's still just a rock that you have that will scale and continue to dish out that DPS. This one's going to be hopefully a bit of a banger. I'm hoping. At least I like this draft on the side of Illinois much better than the previous game.
Yeah, like honestly, like this is just a much better draft here from. It's okay. I'm looking at the champ select right now. It's a Xin Zhao top, Nocturne jungle, and Ornn in the mid lane. And this is actually pretty interesting.
You gotta wait. Gotta wait
we
for
will
the
have
last
to wait.
second swaps.
I'm expecting it. Yeah, I'm expecting it still to be the Nocturne mid, but if it is a Xin Zhao top, that changes things a lot. That actually means they are going to be looking to punish this Cassiopeia, right? Because the main advantage that okay, they're swapping it all. Okay, never mind. I got my hopes up for nothing.
Yeah, I was like, they're trying to pull one over on. Yeah. I wasn't sure either how well. They're putting on the Xin Zhao and the
DLR.
I'm trying to see who they're going to get the advantage to. Again, for the most part, those viewing right now can't see exactly what we get to see. But again, you got to love the last second swaps when you have so many picks that can be flexed in multiple positions. just mentioned a little bit ago, looks like we will be seeing the swap of the Cassiopeia and Aurelia between Diomar and Tilted. Cassiopeia will be going mid lane this game for Tilted, and Diomar will be taking that Aurelia top into Quacker's Ornn.
Yeah, and I believe this swap is because that these guys are just more familiar with the matchups here, and Tilted is more familiar with a lot of the wacky, interesting like mid lane picks. Like, you know, once again, a lot of uncommon picks we don't normally see, like the Nocturne, like the Talon, like the R we saw from last game. And this top lane matchup is a matchup that has stood the test of time for season 10. Aurelia versus Ornn. We don't commonly see it as often. We generally see Set versus Ornn as one of the more common counter pick matchups, but Aurelia does have a little bit of risks in the early game. Can get out traded by Ornn. We've seen it happen more than once, you know, not just in UCL, but in many other leagues. But Diomar should be looking to have the advantage here. And once again, all signs point to the top side here for Illinois. They want to get this Nocturne ahead. They want to start snowballing off into bot side. And they want to make sure they're able to outscale this competition from Recon 5, because once again, a very telling weakness from Recon 5 is that they don't have an engage, nor do they have frontline.
True, and they're going to play just as well as they did in game number 1. We're going to see if they can close this series out, playing that cleanly, because they're still at match point. Recon 5 lead the series 2-1, right, or 2-0, I should say. Illinois trying to make it 2-1, and we're going to be back though in just a little bit with the third and potentially final game here between these two teams with a lot of pedigree coming into this grand finals. But before we go anywhere, before we jump into the potentially final game, we got to give one last shout out to our beautiful sponsors, Midwest Esports, who have been around for many years, starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University. Since then, Midwest Esports has grown to a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the United States. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. And for more information, you can check them out at MidwestEsports.com. Without them, we wouldn't be here casting these beautiful finals here for these two teams. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, supporting either one of your teams. And for the most part, going into this final game, potentially, again, you got to hope that we're going to have just a lot of action and a lot of love for this game that we appreciate so much. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back in just a little bit. All right, hello. We are back with the third game of the series between Recon 5 and Illinois Academy. Recon 5 currently lead the series 2-0. We're going to see if we can get the bounce back and potentially the reverse sweep for Illinois Academy here, as we're looking at, again, the respect, the 5-point start between these two teams. And more than anything, you just got to hope that the mental is still intact, that they can persevere through that second game, just wipe it from their memories. Second game didn't happen. This is a clean reset because, I mean, it's do or die right now for Illinois Academy.
Yep, and if there is a composition that Illinois Academy have to bring it back to potentially start the reverse sweep, this is definitely one of them. Once again, they have a clear and concise plan here. They have a way to punish the immobility here from Tilted, and you saw Tilted. He's going to be taking that exhaust here. Red buff going to be the start here for Xin Zhao, but you have to realize that Xin Zhao can only do so much in the early game. He will fall off in the mid to late game end. He has to get all that pressure out for now and start that snowball as soon as he can so that he's able to provide his team with advantages, mainly in the mid lane. But the longer this game goes, this is now going to be official compared to game number 1, that Recon 5 will outscale. That is a doubt.
Pretty hands down. Yeah, hands down. They will win scaling game. And I mean, when we're looking at the win conditions right here for Illinois Academy, you said a lot of it was going to be played through that mid lane on the side of the Nocturne. You know, what strength point are we looking for here where the Nocturne could just walk away with this game? Because that's really what's going to come down to. I mean, they got to close the game out fast.
Definitely, if he gets shoved in early, which I believe he's going to be trying to get that. If he gets that early gank, if he gets that early first blood, he's going to be able to do a lot of burst damage to Tilted. It's going to be really hard for Tilted to really counter against him because Tilted doesn't really have the early game power spike as compared to like an early lethality item or early Tiamat here for the Nocturne. It's a lot of a very similar playstyle to the Talon mid strat, where it's like you just shove in your lane and you just out DPS your opponent with Conqueror and whatnot and your attack speed. But we will have to see how it all works out. Tilted right now got to be going ahead and warning the top side, while Xin Zhao already making his way towards the mid lane.
Ooh, he might have messed up there picking the wrong side to ward as he's pushed in. Oh, Sushi Killer has to wait for that wave.
We'll have to see if will be a gank that's going to be happening. He's going to go in, and Tilted going to be in trouble.
Yep. Going to force the flash out from Tilted.
Great miasma. Yeah, if it wasn't for that miasma, I would have said he would have been dead, because Ninja would have been more than happy to have just flashed on top of him and get that knock up.
And that's a lot of CC that you're going to see from the side of Illinois when you get the total fear from the Nocturne, the knock up from the priority that you're going to see from Sushi Kill on Xin Zhao. And that's what you got to see. You got to really hope that Sushi Killer can bring that heat. He can really bring that priority and get multiple ganks off early on.
And yeah, the priority here, once again, is that you want to get a solo laner ahead, give them that early first kill, and make them a threat that the other solo laner cannot 1v1 them in a realistic scenario, right? You want to abuse the fact that the first 9 levels are extremely risky because they give a lot more XP for solo kills.
Yeah, and look at the gankable lanes. You gotta imagine they're probably just gonna keep prioritizing that mid lane, especially with Tilted having burned his flash already. Bot lane, not the most gankable of lanes, and same with the top lane. With Ornn.
In usual fashion.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, Bless Quacker this time around does have an easier lane, not playing Gangplank into Lucian, so a lot more even on that side of the map.
Yeah. Definitely still has to be careful. Tiomar was able to get a really good early push in. But Quaker is still very prone to a lot of the shenanigans that really can pull off when she gets that level 6, or she gets that level 6 first. So we will have to see on how that top lane really works out. But what I'm really interested in is this mid lane. Dandito does have enough gold to get that Tiamat. And that is going to mean he's going to be able to start getting the shoves in. And as soon as he hits level 6, you know, there's going to be so much pressure and power on the side of Illinois Academy that they're going to be able to take a lot of free objectives, a lot of free fights here. Because the team for Recon 5, they need time to scale up.
Exactly that. And luckily for the side of Recon 5, I mean, if they continue to get pushed in, and they just got to do their best to not give too many opportunities for the Nocturne to ult in to start snowballing this game. Ooh, stopping the recall there. But did have their jungler, Sushi Killer, around.
Pretty good here. Interrupting that recall means that Nocturne's forced to stay for one more lane. And Nocturne would prefer to recall now and then get level 6. He's going to get level 6 now and then he's going to be forced to recall here. He's not immediately going to be able to abuse his instant power spike here, or he's not going to be as strong here. But either way, it looks like Recon 5 are already just going to concede to first dragon, regardless of the fact that Nocturne doesn't have his items just yet.
Yeah, first strike going to be that cloud. And a little reminiscent of the first game, as Illinois Academy picks up the first dragon. Maybe they can pick up the next two.
Thankfully, it's not a Cloud Drake Soul. Otherwise, that'd be really, really good here.
Yes, for
teams.
Especially for both teams. Flawless Duet lands on the top side. It's a large wave. Quacker doesn't really want to fight in that.
And this is going to be the name of the game for Quacker here. Like, he's chosen this losing matchup. And granted, this is very reminiscent of like most 10.7 games or 10.6 games where he's just going to be, you know, constantly shoved up the tower. And it's just going to be there. He won't die. He won't get taken down unless he like badly misplays. He's just there for that late game assurance.
Got his love. I mean, the value on his items isn't as great as it used to be, but it's still value nonetheless. So, great binding lands onto the Ash. It's a lot of chunk there.
Yeah. That's gonna hurt a bit. And you saw earlier, like, if you look at the mini-map, both Xin Zhao and Nocturne were in positions like, all right, we're ready to go. Just say the word, we'll go in. And like as you were gone, I'm sure the rest of Recon 5 was like, oh snap, you know, this Nocturne's missing. Get the heck out of that bot lane, because now, you know, this game is now about, can Nocturne get some kills in the bot lane, and is he able to snowball before it's too late, right? So. Like, Nocturne, once again, he's passing through some bot lane. He's looking for opportunities whenever he can, but it's just not there yet.
Yeah, especially, I mean, the Ashe already has so much more push potential against an Ezreal. Luckily, they do have the Taric, though. Once Taric gets level 6, maybe they can use their ultimate just to dive, just to go all in. At the same time, I don't know how keen you are on diving and Morgana under tower.
An ideal situation is, like, you get level 6 first, and Dandito continues to get this 2-level advantage here against Phoenix and Lokidosi here on the bot side for Recon 5, but ooh, Recon just in time over here for Illinois Academy, and we're seeing the benefits of Ashe here. Once again, we're seeing that Recon are more than happy to give up this bot lane here. They want to get the Ezreal to scale up. We saw the effects of it last game, but now if we look over the top side, gank might be coming.
Top side already landed the duet. Here comes the ultimate coming up from the Ornn. Gonna miss the knockup. DMR does have no mana. We'll get knocked up. There we go. First blood over the side of Sushi Killer. And there we go. That's some of that priority that we wanted to see from the Xin Zhao. Picking the first blood.
Yeah.
Can you use that gold here?
Better late than never, and we saw, you know, DMR was just pushing up a little bit too much. He didn't have mana to continue the trade, and now Zadok's actually gonna be looking for this top side. Well, mid.
Go for the dive.
Here.
What a great ultimate from Tilted.
Ultimate on
place, but the flash from Dandito is enough to survive just barely with a sliver of health.
Yep, and there's the power of the Nocturne. Yeah. Very, very well done. Good roam by Wakanari, and we're seeing the advantages here for...
Oh, no!
Oh,
and his ultimate does land in time, but does get stunned by the duet. Avoids the good old Dazzle. Here comes Sushi Killa trying to pick up one in return.
It's not one to spike.
Oh, but Kudrik with the arrow from across the map does pick that one up. Kudrik trying to trade. I don't know if you want to take that against the Graves. Going to force the flash. Does end up burning and gets taken out. Now we're all tied up 3-3.
There's a challenging smite, but overall, very good response for Recon 5 to be able to stop this snowball before it happens. They're able to pick up 4-2 basically in the mid lane and nullify any forms of disadvantages earlier. Granted, though, DMR does die twice. That does mean that his lead against Quacker is going to get pretty much nullified as he misses a lot of ways over the top side. And he is now going to be on even ground against Quacker. But granted, Blade of Rune King's still going to be a very strong and powerful first item here for the Irelia.
Just in time, we're seeing this bot lane's rotations as Rift Herald spawned, of course, at the 8-minute mark. Trying to respond both to the pressure that Illinois Academy brought. They did rotate first, but unfortunately for them, it's Recon 5 that gets to the Rift Herald. It looks like they will take that between Zadox and Lokidosi.
Yeah, I'm getting deja from game number 1. They've been doing this trade where Recon 5 just get the they get the Rift Herald and go ahead, Illinois. You can go ahead and just get all the the dragons coming up. The next dragon is going to be Inferno, so we either see Ocean Drake or Mountain Drake, and the one you don't want to see if you're Recon is definitely Mountain Drake.
Yeah. And I think for the side of Illinois, they have to really try contesting, especially the next Rift Herald. Really contest these dragons, because the longer this game goes, they're just going to miss out on so many of their own win conditions. And you really don't want to have to deal with the dragon as well over top of the scaling comp that they're playing into.
Yeah, the good news is, though, is that, you know, Recon 5 are still at a very weak point. This is a really good opportunity for Illinois to still force these fights that, you know, Recon 5 are going to have trouble winning. And the really only person we have to watch out for here is Zaddox, but Zaddox still could struggle getting into the fight because of his low range and the fact that there's a lot of crowd control from the side of Illinois Academy.
Here goes the Paranoia. It is popped, and they're jumping right onto Tilted. Lands his ultimate, but not enough as he does go down. Loki Dosey trying to escape. Black Shield going to prevent him from getting too slow. Arcane Shift away, and that might be that Dragon Prio that they just lost, as it's now being picked up by Quacker and Sushi Killer. Oh, here comes the flash change from Phoenix.
Wow.
Force one flash, but that's a big shutdown onto the Ash. He goes down. Dragon is picked up by Illinois Academy. It looks like they're continuing to fight in the mid lane. Dazzle does miss. Here comes the Cosmic Radiance. The Oran Horde does not quite land. Oh, and there goes the finish. Loki Dosey picks one up. Rift Herald is now spawned in the mid lane. This fight is not over yet. As we're seeing DMR make his way to the mid lane, Rift Herald is spawned. And yeah, they just used Call of the Forge Gods. They don't have that up to disengage. There's really not a whole lot Quacker or Dandito can do. They have to throw their bodies really into this team. There it goes.
Over there.
Oh, the Vanguard and
geez,
does land on the
over.
Quacker. He goes down. Dandito is hit with one of his marks, but unfortunately DMR takes too many turret shots to really contest. They pick up one on the Quacker, but that bonus health that you get from that last play, it's going to be too much for them to break through, and they're just going to back off.
Overall, that whole entire fight was just, to start things off, really good job by Recon 5 by realizing, hey, you know, this Cassiopea is out of position, we can get a pick. But the mistake that Recon 5, or the mistake that Illinois make, is that they don't immediately group under the Dragon. They still think they could get away with the 2-3. Phoenix immediately sees this opportunity to go in, and it's just all pandemonium from there. Like, Recon 5 have a clear game plan. They know what they're looking for, and everyone from Illinois just used everything. There's nothing they can do to counteract.
Yeah, it's
so they
so
just get picked
unfortunate.
apart.
I mean, during this early game, during this mid game, they had to do everything they can to find picks, to do something to try to find this lead. But as we're entering into the 15-minute mark here, they're not in the lead. They don't have a lead really on any of their carries, save for maybe the Ash. But I mean, that's not something that you can really snowball off of. That's not something that you can find picks with very easily. And right now, it's Recon 5 that is still in the driver's seat. It looks like they have been in the driver's seat since the end of that first game.
Yeah. And another thing to really note now is that top lane matchup between Irelia and Ornn is basically over until Ornn gets that level 13 to get that extra stats, and maybe he does get solo killed. But his Blade of Ring coming up for Irelia and a bunch of damage combined with the Conqueror here is gonna be pretty brutal for this Ornn to be able to solo lane against. And I think for the rest of this game right now, I expect a 4-1 here for Recon 5. As they play more reactionary. Their composition is more or less dealing with the burst that could come from Illinois, as Illinois have more tools to kind of start a fight. Once again, they have a lot more team fighting tools. While Recon,
that is so
all right. Oh,
that Krista arrow goes
right as
right?
I mean, it landed. I mean, it hit just not where he wanted. It hit the Cassiopea.
Yeah, that's what you need. I mean, that's still what I want to see. I want them trying to find picks here or there. Unfortunately for the Graves, I mean, I don't even know if they could kill Graves. Graves is, again, one of those beefy boys that just
like
that takes it. But
like, it's so hard for Illinois right now because they're a little bit past the point where they can't
here
get
comes
those picks.
the bot side does get knocked up. Call the Force God does land, and that's a big shutdown onto Diomar. Xin Zhao picking up his second kill of the game, but meanwhile in the mid lane, there is 4 mid, like you mentioned. Finding the binding onto the Ash, gonna pop. The Cosmic Radiance gonna keep him alive. Paranoia is also dropped on. The good old Ezreal gonna force the flash away with that exhaust, and really coming in handy there. Bounded again. Xin Zhao trying to come in with the flank, trying to find a backliner. Fortunately, Ezreal is still alive. Gets taken out by Quacker. Here comes Zadok, still trying to kite back. Oh, it just gives him that buckshot to the face as Xin Zhao drops. Now, unfortunately, Wakanari gets hit by another binding. Phoenix is on point right now with these Qs. Quacker still the tanky boy left. Tilted flashing to chase down the support. It's top laner versus support, mid laner versus support. Quacker takes down his for a double kill, but Tilted is back.
Will win.
I don't think this
versus-
Orin lives here.
Nope. Man,
You can
that's
see
not
it.
like it. He just kind of has to take
Yeah,
it.
he's kind
Did
of
his
dead.
best with the flank. Found one kill in the bot lane, 2 in the mid lane, but not enough to
Yeah.
take out that Cassiopeia as she started to come online, picking up her double kill. Now 3, 2, and 3. Yeah.
So Illinois get the pick. They're like, yes, we got that we got that pesky Aurelia. Perfect. A little bit more of these picks, and we are good. And then Phoenix is just like, oh, I mean, you just made a mistake, so I'm just gonna hit a binding at you, and you're just gonna die. And as a result, the rest of Illinois try to like mitigate the issue. They try their best to like say, hey, I mean, we could get more kills than you, but as a result, I believe that was a delayed ace, and all of Illinois Academy just get wiped again.
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah. And these summoner spells are really coming into play and coming really in handy for the side of Recon 5. With the double exhaust, keeping them alive for the first rotation on a lot of dive. Great binding there by Phoenix. And it takes that true shot barrage to the face, but not that much damage. Not going to be forced to recall or anything like that.
Phoenix after 2 games of Braum is just like, I mean, now I guess I can try, you know? The weights come off.
Oh, they're trying to
man.
find an engage on the bot lane, but the Q does miss for Dandito. We'll find the support, though, from Tilted as he makes his way down. Dragon is spawned. Mountain Drake.
Oh, this Mountain Drake is really good. Actually, okay, so I take it back. It's actually really good for both teams, especially for Recon, because they don't have a tank, right? So if they get these bonus stats, they're going to be even harder to get picks off of. But
Here
it's gonna
comes
be
the
a first.
engage, though. Paranoia does pop as well as Call of the Forge God. Does not
Oh,
land.
it's not a fight you win.
It's breaking out Vanguard's edge and on so many members here. Loki Dosi
Oh
just sitting
my
in the backline,
gosh.
as is Cuteric. But who's going to dish out more damage? And Zadox flashes onto the backline with the triple kill for Loki Dosi, and Quacker's the last one standing. Just getting ran down by all these rain targets. Almost gets away from
Hey,
that
still a quadra, how
binding,
big
but it's
sucks.
not enough.
Oh boy, that was not a fight you take. I think.
Quacker just goes, wow, as he's getting ran down. Unfortunately for him, I didn't actually see how he got CC'd, but wasn't able to follow up with his own ultimate there.
It's just in general, like everyone in Recon 5 just decided to pile on to the Dragon Pit, and as a result, I mean the AOE from Recon 5, especially DLMR's ultimate, the Vanguard's Edge, just completely shutting down 4 members of Illinois Academy, is just a telling part of like, you gotta get picks, man. You can't really fight against this composition in the later game, and already we're seeing like, you know, Ezreal is already very, very strong. This Graves is very, very strong. Like, there's so much burst damage on the side of Recon 5, and you know, Kutrick is just not at that position where he's able to free hit everything. And oh my gosh, Phoenix is just on fire with this.
I mean, we have to talk about where MVP of the series was, and I don't know, if he gets bindings like that, it's going to be hands down.
I don't know, man. I mean, those 2 prom games were holding him back a bit. Yeah, this is basically.
He was doing it for his team, you know. He was
did it for his
without
team.
him, without those shields, they would have been annihilated by those misfortune ultimates.
True. He had to be the only one to be annihilated by those misfortune ults.
And I mean, it's 16-9. This is match point for Recon 5, and I don't know. They're so far behind. They don't have the ability. I don't know if they have the damage on enough people here to find a pickup on anyone short of
honestly
a 5v1.
Like, watching this series, like, you have to give some huge prop. Like, I know Zadox has had a extremely huge presence in the game for the past few games here with the Elise and the Lee Sin, but Loki Dosi, all 3 games, has just been a consistent factor for Recon 5. You know, the Vars game we didn't talk about, he did the most damage in the game. That lethality Vars was one of those reasons why, you know, Illinois couldn't commit to any of the fights because they were just so poked down. And that Ezreal game for game number 1 was just unbelievable. Like, Loki Dosi has just been such a consistent factor with Phoenix in the bot side, and honestly, everyone's playing
He's
well.
getting caught out, gonna try to land. The Orin Horn does land it onto DMR. Look at the damage though. Does find the knockup. Try to get the brittle proc. Is forced to flash, but it's not enough. Paranoia gonna try to follow it up. Will take out one, but
Zadox
trading his life as Zadox picks up the kill onto Dandito.
Zadox hurts.
Yeah, Graves is going to get stronger and stronger. Did not pick up the last Mountain Drake, but that'll continue to benefit if they're able to contest the next one. And yeah,
and
as you were saying. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, dude, honestly, he could probably 1v3.
Yeah, baby, look at that damage. Does he have to sustain to heal up? Not quite. Didn't quite have the attack speed there to keep getting those shots.
No
up.
lifesteal,
Does pick it
buddy.
up. Oh, true. He doesn't have Conqueror, actually.
Not yet. Yeah, he has Phase Rush. He doesn't have any lifesteal early. Honestly, if he had just like one Vampiric Scepter, I'm pretty sure he just double kill.
Maybe.
But it just goes to show how absurdly strong Zadox is right now. Like, he's just been at the right place at the right time, picked up a bunch of kills, and now any form of engage from the side of, you know, Illinois is just neutered because Graves is there to just blast you in the face with the Storm Razor. Like, it's pretty unreal.
Yeah, and as you were saying, when it comes down to consistency, I mean, Loki Dosi just kind of the epitome of consistency here, being that rock for them. But at this point in the game, there's just so much damage. There's just so much of a lead across the board. I mean, DMR, while we might be 3 and 4 right now, he's just doing an excellent job finding these engages, finding the lockdown with his ultimate at all these neutral objectives.
Illinois Academy, yeah, you know, they've had a story, or a pretty interesting season, right? They come to the top of the league. They're one of the teams to look out for in collegiate, right? They've had a lot of accolades in CSL, but looking at Recon 5, they've just, you know, been on top of everything ever since the formation of their team. They've competed in many, many leagues, and Zadox especially, looking for his 3rd title. Is just pretty insane to really think about in the UCL.
Yeah, and sometimes experience is a huge factor when it comes into these games. Something to be said about Recon 5 looking stronger and stronger every single game here. And now testing the top wave with the Rift Herald while Illinois Academy tries to go for that Dragon. We'll get their 3rd Drake. We'll be at Soul Point next game. Oh, the Crystal Arrow splits the uprights.
Hate to see it. And look at that. If you look at the south side right now, they are dual-wing Baron with Ezreal Graves. This is a 2v4.
Not going to be denied here as he tries to fight the engage. Will get kind of shut out there by the Zonias. Unfortunately, their Phoenix will not survive. Tilt addition.
1 for 1 is already really good.
Underneath.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the reasons why you win that fight, though, is that 3 members were on the Baron. Recon 5 will take that trade, pick up the Baron buff.
Dude, are they actually going for more kills? No way. Oh my god, Kudrik!
You can. Holy moly, what
is happening?
Walkanari does go straight down. Zadox just diving under a tower. Look at that sustain. Finds the triple kill. Diomar now on the backline will find the kill onto Quacker. See him out there as he just dies to the Vanguard's edge. Now gonna recall to spend that gold.
Zadox is just so ahead on this Graves right now. Like,
yes, he just recalled with 2k gold.
Yeah, Recon did not at all have to be there, but they just went for the fight anyway, and Kudrik just instantly dies. Sushi Killer just instantly dies. Like,
and now it's kind of a formality here as we're looking at the builds here. 2 items for Cassiopeia, the big 2 items for Ezreal as well. Zadox cashing another 2k gold. Now
he wants that title, dude.
Oh, here goes. Maybe just pick that they wanted. Crystal Arrow does land onto Cassiopeia. She's gonna be forced to Zonias. Look at the Xin Zhao forcing recall. Paranoia is popped. Here goes the ultimate from Terracron to keep their members alive. Down goes Tilted. Here comes Quacker though from the backline. Will be flanking. Loki Dosi trying to survive on the backline. He's getting ran down by 2 different people. Does have to sustain. Great arcade shift. He's cutting backwards. Down goes the good old Nocturne there. Wakanari's trying to do his best to support against 80 characters. That's not going to be enough. His teammates are not there to back him up. Quacker now fighting in the front line. 1v4 he finds himself as all of his members have dropped. Picks up 1 in return, but the last one standing will be Sushi Killa as that Ezreal would not go down.
This whole entire Recon roster, absolutely insane. They're looking for the game to lock in their next UCL championships.
And you gotta say that's well-deserved. Loki Dosi doing the deeps out there. They take the top inhibitor just through minions, and that Ezreal staying alive is the end-all, be-all. You grab that Nocturne, and it's not gonna be enough to take him out as he stays alive. They take down 4. They take down both inhibitors and the Nexus. That's a 3-0 sweep for Recon 5 as they wrap up this playoff grand finals in a very convincing fashion and prove really why they've been on this stage multiple times before.
This Recon 5 roster is just insane. And they've completely dominated the competition here in the finals here. And we saw across the board All individual members have had a pop-off moment. Diomar, game 2, being able to completely shut down Quacker in the top side. Tilted, just in general, being able to be a rock in the mid lane, and also have that game-winning play in game number 1. Our Phoenix being able to go from Damara to just an insane Morgana performance. And then we have Zadox and Loki Dosi, who just completely dump on just Illinois whole series. Like,
That is
that-
the tilt. Yep. Oh,
that,
that's the most tilting thing there. You got it. You have the fight down. It's breaking it up properly. The Ezreal gets zoned. He's down to maybe 10% HP, and the cooldown's reset. He gets the Arcane Shift, and you just see him start healing as he's out of melee range. He's dishing out that damage, and he comes in clutch. As you said, consistency, and he really comes in clutch there at the end. Not necessarily that they needed it, as they really were the ones in the driver's seat for the majority of that game, and looking solid across the board. I think, going back to game number 1, we kind of talked about before. We expected it to at least be a 3-1, maybe a 5-game series here. But
right.
and, after game 1, I kind of expected it too. It was really close. I mean, there was really no lead to be seen until the end game there. And these last 2 games were just completely shut out by the side of Recon 5.
Yeah, and just based off the performance here from Recon 5, it's no surprise that these guys have been some of the top dogs in amateur for quite some time here in the UCL level of play. All these players, have had a storied history with many, many different rosters, and now we see the culmination of all their hard work come together. An absolutely unreal performance by this roster. And the trend of 3-0s in finals continue. I mean, we had it in the LEC and the LCS, and now we have it here in the UCL. Let's see if that continues here. And not to mention, the meta, kind of completely changed quite a bit with the EXP changes. But still, it just seems like, Recon 5 just hasn't lost a beat.
Not at all. And I think a great way to start this week off, though, still with very explosive games. And our first look at the current competitive state of this patch. We still have 3 more series to go for the rest of the leagues here. I mean, UPL, UML, and the UJL are still going to be concluded later on this week. And this was the kind of a first look at that. But again, hats off to Recon 5, just playing superbly throughout this entire series. Consistent, great drafts, playing to all of their win conditions, and just staying strong, especially in that first game where they were at a deficit and they were able to bounce back and just continue that momentum in the next 2 games. It's just something that really goes to show and speaks to that veteran presence that they have on that roster. And I think the biggest thing that's the biggest detriment for Illinois is just going to be that draft. It's just something that you have to look at going into the second game, going into the third game. It just really did not do any favors for them coming into the series.
Definitely. Now, as we are going to be wrapping up UCL here, what an amazing season to kick things off. And in all of these, we are currently in probably some of the roughest times ever experienced, especially at least for as long as I've been living. This is definitely one of the worst times I've ever experienced, right? We're currently battling coronavirus. We are currently most of us are quarantined, staying at home. We haven't had a lot of time to be able to, follow and pursue our dreams, and some of our dreams to stop. But all these players in esports right now are, just doing what they love, playing League of Legends. And we still see, amidst all this adversity in 2020 here, we're still seeing players still shine and be able to see that, hey, we are still some of the best players in the UCL. And we see right here, Recon 5 just has dropped the beat all playoffs and just has been a consistent, dominant force for the UCL. They are your champions for the 2020 spring season.
Yeah, and well deserved. We've got to talk a player of multiple games here, MVP. There's a lot of people up in the air.
This is a tough one.
Let's see here. Tilted came in so clutch going into that first game. Again, also very consistent. You're looking at Zadox, who just had so much immense pressure across the board this entire series. Loki Dosi also just, I don't think they could have won any of these games without Loki Dosi just continuing to be that player that they can rely on when they enter into the 15-minute mark, the 20-minute mark, gets his items, and just takes over with that damage. then of course you got Phoenix. I mean, those bindings were ludicrous in that last game, and he's literally giving up his body there to win those first 2 games as that Braum. So, uh, what do you got? What's your vote here? XT?
There's, I said it was hard, but it's hard to say because everyone played well. But it's just no contention. It has to be Zadox, dude. All 3 games, he showed why. Now he's a 3-time UCL champion now. This guy is insane. He showed 3 different champions, 3 different ways to play. He was the game-winning play for game number 1, I would argue. Completely shut down the top side of the map for game number 2. And was a huge reason why Recon 5 was just able to dominate the map. And then game number 3 with an unreal Graves performance, just being able to carry his team along with Loki Dosi. Loki Dosi is an honorable mention, but man, oh man, Zax just showed why he's one of the best junglers in the UCL. Like it's just unreal how well he played the series.
Yeah, and especially in the season 10, you're looking at how much priority that you have to have in the jungle, how many responsibilities they have, and just being able to keep track of all those objectives and trading when necessary. Understanding, hey, maybe we're not going to get the dragons, but let's continue to get these Rift Heralds. Let's continue to prioritize and make sure that our laners are in check. On Elise, just fighting all of those engages and fighting all those dives as you should. It's just, again, there's a reason why he's a 3-time champion. So
he was just, he was just at the right place at the right time. And honestly, it's just, Zadox is,
it's hard to take away.
It's hard to take away from the rest of the players. Like, I hate to see it too, but it's just like,
as an AD carry man, I'm like, man, Loki Dosi though, he's just doing the deep set there. That's
it's like, while everyone had their shining moments, it's just the constant factors across all 3 games. Just Zadox just played the map really well. Just was able to just basically set his team up all for success. Like, I don't think that Lucian was going to be able to get that top lane advantage if it wasn't for the fact that Zax was just applying so much pressure to the top side. There was nothing Trigger could do to help his game plan, right? There were so many dives for setup because of Zadox. And, once again, we look to that game-winning play at game number 1. It was super, super close. And then you get the instant pick onto the misfortune to set everything up. It's like everyone just plays so around it. It's just like,
that was a Smurf
it's
play.
so hard.
Literally, on the LOL Esports Instagram, looking at the Q into the ward hop into the kick flash to find the AD carry under tower. What?
And it just goes to show there's a lot of power into jungle right now too. It's just really nice to see Zadox being able to basically come out on top. Congratulations on his third title win, and congratulations to Recon 5 for being the champions for the UCL 2020 season.
Yep. I think that's a great way to close out this Upsurge Contenders League, the grand finals here with the winners Recon 5. Don't forget, though, that throughout this week, there's going to be more League of Legends to come. Tune in tomorrow night at the same time to check out the UPL finals, because that's even more action to break out onto the Rift. And again, we love to have you guys. We love all the viewers out there. So thank you guys. We appreciate your support, appreciate the support of all these teams, and we appreciate everything that Upsurge does to give this opportunity to all the players and teams here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great night, because this was a great conclusion to the end of this Contenders League. That's all I got for right now. I had a great time casting with you, XT, and I think for now we're going to tune out. So we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Peace.